Come on. Let's get started in here. Let's get it started in here. No? No? My overalls and all? Yeah. All right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. As you can tell, I am not Jared. I am up here. Hello, everyone online as well. I am up here having to do everything. And as you all have seen since you've come into the house, I have been literally pulling my hair out. See, that's where it went. Like, just kidding. Just kidding. I did get a haircut and a beard trim. Anybody hasn't noticed. Okay. So, I'm really glad to see all you guys. It's awesome. You know, this is the highlight of my week. So no matter how much I seem like I've been stressed, I am not. I am just trying to get everything done at once. And that can cause adrenaline and heartbeat to rise. But with that being said, it is Shabbat. We are to have peace. We are to have rest today. Excuse me. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and start us out with prayer to get myself in the right frame of mind and to help you guys get there as well. So let's all go to the throne. By the way, again, that's our theme for this week. And ask God for his favor and his blessing, and that our worship would be exactly what it's supposed to be. All right? Bow our heads. Father, we just thank you so much for this wonderful time of the week that we get to come and to celebrate you and your presence and your kingdom. We just ask for you, Holy Spirit, to come, and you are welcome here in this place. Fill this room as we prepare to worship you, as we prepare to learn of you. We just ask that you would be here with us. We know that you are. Two or more gathered in your name, you are there in the midst of us. And we believe that. We focus on it. We ask for a shalom, a Shabbat Shalom, like no other. Let this worship that we present to you and everything we do be pleasing, and let it go across the airwaves and touch hearts and change lives, not just in this room and with us, but with anybody who is fortunate enough to tune in and to hear us love on you. We thank you for all that you do. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. Okay, if everybody will stand with me for the Shema. All right, we ready? Here we go. Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malkuto, Leolam Vayeh. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be the name of his glorious kingdom forever and ever. Now, Olivia, you're going to be really loud because I'm going to be really quiet. I'm going to try, though. So here we go, everyone. Our favorite, Vahata. Ready? Vahata Elohah Eloheka B'kol Avka U'kol Nafsheka U'kol Eldeka V'hayu Hadarim Ha'eret Asher Anochi Masavka Hayom Alaveka V'jem Lavaneka V'jem Ha'bashishika Eldeka U'lekeka V'derek U'shaka U'subaka U'shakam Leo Avideka V'hayu L'toto E'aneka U'kalkam Al-Medusa V'teka U'v'shavrika. And you shall love Yehovah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And have these words which I command you this day be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you retire, and when you arise. and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and upon your gates. Vahavta rika kamoka. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Amen. All right, let's do the blessing over the children. I'll get out of your way. So, Derek, you wanna help me this morning? All right, I'll do the first half. If you'll do the second half for me when we start at 4 both. Guys, ready? Is everybody up here? All the children? Anybody want to sneak up here that's kind of young? Anybody? Oh, she is? You know what? Where's she at? How long she been in there? She coming? You don't know? Do we wait on her? There she comes. We're waiting. Here she comes. Come on, sweetheart. We're waiting on you. You got to get your blessing. Come on, come on. Not going to let you do without. No way. All right. Here we go. Shakira is going to get a blessing too. All right. Here we go. Blessing over our children. Yehovah bless you and keep you. Yehovah cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yehovah turn his face towards you and give you peace. For the daughters, blessed are you of Yehovah, my daughter, for you have been kind and generous. Yehovah is your Elohim, and his people are your people. May all people know of certainty that you are a virtuous daughter. And for the sons, may Yehovah make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. May you be a man after Yehovah's own heart. May you be bold and courageous, leading everyone under your influence in the ways of Yehovah.
May your mouth speak with wisdom. May your heart meditate with reverence. May your hands do the word Elohim has given you. May your feet hasten to follow the path that Yehovah has laid out for your life. May your entire life be fruitful. May Yehovah's full will for you be accomplished in your life. May the spirit of Yehovah, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and power, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yehovah be upon you. May the grace of Yeshua HaMashiach, the love of Elohim, and the fellowship of Ruach HaKodesh be upon you now and forever.
Amen. Amen. I just wanted to point something out for you guys, for something that we've been talking about, and I actually got asked this during our Wednesday Bible study as we were leaving. What are the 7 spirits of Yehovah? The 7 spirits that we're looking at even in the book of Revelation. There's difference of opinion, and I'm just going to tell you mine. Mine is, I'll figure it out and remind you exactly where it's at in the book of Isaiah. And this right here just happens, I didn't do this on purpose, but it just happens to have, I believe, all 7 right here in our blessing for the children. The full will of Yehovah be accomplished in your life. May the spirit of Yehovah, the spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, power, knowledge, and the fear of Yehovah be upon you. And it's the Spirit of God himself as well, I believe. I have to look in Isaiah and figure out which ones, but that's the 7 spirits. Again, like I said, a little controversy, but in my opinion, it's there in Isaiah very strongly as spirits of Yehovah and what it means. And if you didn't think about those things and don't just blow past that and you meditate on it, you'll see that there's this powerful what's being said there. All right. Who wants to read Psalm 89? Dope. Sorry, got Psalm 119. Thank you. Psalm 119, verse 89 through 112 for me. Who's got the Bible? Who's ready to do it? Gabby, are you serious? Do you have your Bible? Do you have it on your phone? Come on. Kai, I know this is kind of interesting that I'm having to do this, but I'm going to have to fix your stand when we get done, okay? Yeah. I had to make it go down.
89.
Yep, 89 through 112. I'll be here to.
You're going to go up there? 89 till we get to 112. You got this.
You got it, Gabby. Come on. All right. Just get the microphones. I think it's on. Speaking to it. Is it? Nope. Okay, here. All right.
I'm not that sure.
Hold on. Uh-oh. Matt, there's batteries right next to you. We're not giving up. Somebody hand this to Matt, please. I'm going to use Jared's mic, Matt. Got it? You there? 112. Let me see where you're starting at. Test the mic. Say hello.
Hello?
Get up there. You got to get up there real loud. Get close. Matt, turn her up now. That's Jared's mic. All right. So let's see. Where you at? Okay. Psalm 89. Absolutely. There you go. Or, sorry, 119, verse 89. Okay. Go ahead. Read, and I'll follow along with you.
Forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness continues throughout all generations. You establish the earth and stands in it, and it stands. They stand this day according to your or to whatever. For all things are your servants. If your law had not been my delight, then I would have side in my affliction. I will never forget your purposes. For the wicked wait for me, destroy me. I shall diligently consider your testimonies. I have seen a limit to all perfection, and your comediant.
All about is his command.
Exceedingly
Good.
broad. Oh, how I love your law. It is my meditation all day. Your commandments make me wiser than all my enemies. For they are ever mine. I have more insight than all my teachers. For your testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the age, because I've observed your precepts. I have restrained my feet from evil, or every evil way, that I may keep your word. I have not turned aside from your ordinances. For you have taught me how sweet you are. Oh, sweet are your words to my taste. Yes, sweeter than honey to my mouth. From your precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way.
That's right.
Your word is a lamp to my feet and light to my path. I have sworn and I will confirm it, that your righteous
I will keep
your righteous
ordinances.
ordinances.
I know it's hard for me to say too. It's a good word though.
I am exceedingly afflicted. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word. O, accept the free will offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me your ordinances. My life is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I have not gone astray from your precepts. I have inherited your testimonies forever, for they are joy of my heart. I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes forever, even to end.
All right, amen. Good. Absolutely. Good job. Good job, Gabby. Here you go. You did great. Thank you. All right. See, look, Nolan liked it. All right, guys, we're getting ready to worship. We got a guest singer in the house today. We got our resident Baptist. He's come back to visit us and played the guitar, pick a string, and sing. Sang like I told him this morning. Sang. All right. That's Colby.
Yeah, can we get that? Thing?
Oh, yeah. You need your stuff? I kind of need that. Sorry. Okay.
all of us.
Yeah, but those two. Gabby had Jared's. The other one wasn't working.
Hey, did you swap mics?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. That's important.
There's a grace when your heart is under fire. Another road when the walls are closing in. When I look at the space between all the things I've seen, it's taking me. I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminded of how I've been set free? There's a cross that bears no burden, where another died for me. There is another in the fire. All my day left for dead beneath the waters. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. Should I fall in this space between what happened to me and this reckoning? Every way I won't bow to the things of this world. I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the water, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminded that I've been set free? There is a grave that holds nobody. Now that power lives in me. There is another in the fire. Whoa, 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 and I can see the
joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. There'll be another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding of who you've been to me? May the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. May the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. Count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.
Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Just give him a moment, guys.
We're done.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. So, that one's mine, and now this one's yours. Okay. You good? Come on, guys. Hey, that was awesome. That was awesome. I need a chair. Oh, boy. What? I feel like I heard somebody say something. Does anybody notice something about our title today? No. But what? I know that the service was last week was a little bit, chill, sit down, chat. But I still had a title last week, right? What was the title last week? Does anybody remember? No? No one remembers? Yeah, Miss Nancy, I can always count on you. Hand me the TV remote, please. Yeah, I know what you were doing. I knew what you were doing. I didn't even look at you. That's right. I agree. You got to look at them. Uh-oh, what was that? Me? Okay. Should be good. Am I good? Am I Vanna whitening it well, Matt? Can you see it? Am I in the right spot? I might stand up. I might not. Hey, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Y'all ready? So, yeah, the throne room and the kingdom last week, they were the same theme as this week. Why? Because it's obviously important. And why do I say that? It's literally throughout every portion of our portions today. And it was in at least two of them last week. Matt, I think I'm a little loud in the room. Y'all are in trouble, by the way. There's another more charismatic messianic in the house today. So just warning y'all, we have a guest. I know where she comes from. I'm not alone anymore. Y'all are in trouble. No, but you'll see as we move through this, right off the bat, we're going to see about the throne room. All right, let me see here how I'm going to do this. See if I go away from that. No, it doesn't stay up on the screen. Dope. Okay, there it is. Everybody see it? I'm going to have to old school this and actually pull out a paper Bible. Oh, my goodness. What am I going to do with myself? All right. So, Exodus chapter 24. We're doing really good with our reading plan. I wouldn't say really good, but pretty good. I'm not getting everybody to shout out all the time, but we're at least getting some comments. So the rest of you sleepers, wake up. Olivia, you may have read, but you didn't follow instructions and comment. All you have to do is put a happy face. I don't even care. Just be like, done. Smiley face. Because that helps Derek. I don't know if you read. You probably did. I know Michelle did. That helps Derek or Brandy or I to be encouraged. Well, since I'm kind of... that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. At least you read it. That's good. Keep that energy up, right? We're trying to encourage each other to study and to know the Word and understand the character and nature of God, What's this all about? Now, I know it looks like it's in a park, right? What's my picture all about here? Come on, Nolan. What's the picture all about? Stop distracting our guest. Whoa. What just happened? Could be. Might be. Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so it's not so much a gravel road, it's a pathway, but what color is it? What kind of blue? Yeah. Yeah. What color blue? Sapphire. That's right. Who said it first? Olivia? Sapphire. Why is that important to so we're in part 1. We're in our Torah portion. Part 1 of the history of the Israelites. Right? They have, begun to become a nation now. Yehovah is dealing with them in that way. Okay? So the sapphire look here, we'll talk about here in just a second. But yeah, it's a sapphire color. So just interesting enough with Exodus chapter 20. I'm gonna try to be as engaging as I normally am, but I'm also going to try really hard to follow my notes because I got some really good notes, but a lot of times you guys know how I am. I just get on a roll, Nolan distracts me, I killed on another roll, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. All right, so here we go. Interesting, controversial part about this. If any of you guys ran across it while you were reading or studying, if you had any chance to dig a little deeper, it's fine if you didn't. I understand. There is a question on when this actually occurred. There's controversy. Not only in the Jewish world, in the rabbinical literature, but I'm not sure exactly where the Messianics and Hebrew rooters picked it up. Yep, that's my new word. I invented it. You can't steal it. I'm not sure where those of us Torah observant folks, picked it up, but somewhere along the way, I have run across some teachings where not only do they believe that this is not happening in chronological order, they get real angry if you don't agree with them. These particular teachers, and I don't even remember their names, so I can't call them out. So there you go. Brandy doesn't have to look at me funny and be like, Justin, right? But they definitely believe that there's some chronological mixture here, that like Moses, that this happened prior to chapter 24, happened like in the midst of or prior to chapter 20. It's like what the elders and them went up before God spoke from the mountain, and then, or right after he spoke from the mountain, and then they got those instructions, and then Moses wrote the instructions, and those 3 chapters you have was after this event on chapter 24 of him getting these instructions and writing them down, right? Like, I don't know. I might be messing it up what they believe. I'm going to tell you what I believe, right? That's what I normally do. Okay, so if you take a look, right, with Exodus 19 and 20, people get ready and stand at the mountain and hear the voice of Yehovah directly. That is, I told you guys how a friend of mine didn't believe me when I told him that one time. I'm like, man, that's how much even a very strong, mature Sunday church Christian didn't realize that, no, it was actually straight up the voice of God. There's multiple places that prove to us that from the mountain. I told you guys that 2 weeks ago, okay? We talked about it. We read it. You guys have read it. Hopefully you go and reread it. Because what did I say was really important about Exodus chapter 20? Everything, right? Really important. And then if you guys remember last week, I definitely kind of discussed real fast. To be honest with you, it was not studied. It was more Holy Spirit. Like, I read it, and it was definitely Spirit-led in the sense that I was like, and look, like I showed you how chapters 21 through 23, they're like, and I've got this in my notes here. They're like Yehovah's Sermon on the Mount. They're like him giving you an example of what it truly means, right, to love him and to not violate those first 4, right, including, remember, he expands on Sabbath stuff, right, and then he expands in chapter 21 through 23 on, like, what is murder? Like, what is the actual true definition of murder? Okay? There's discussion of adultery in there. So, really important. This is where I agree with all the hubbub. And what I mean by hubbub is there's commentary hubbub out there. If you haven't read it, you'll find it if you look for it. It's hubbub, right? What does that mean? It's just loud and silly, in my opinion, not quite important. But I do agree with them in one sense, and that is that there's probably more importance to chapter 21 and 23 than any of us probably recognize. I just called it Yehovah's Sermon on the Mount, right? If you take it, go back. I've got different places here today for you guys as homework. If you go back, take this part as homework, reread 21 through 23, and see how important that is compared to the 10 words or the 10 commandments. All right? Everybody with me? Okay? Follow me? I'm not confusing anyone. Anybody remember me saying that last week? Like kind of quickly go. I know we talked about all kinds of stuff, but anybody remember that? Steve, you remember? Do you really? I bet you. No. Thanks for being honest. Hey, we're actually going to have a story just like that in our reading today for all of you guys that read. You know, no, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay, so Exodus 19 and 20 are the people get ready, right? And there's a key piece that if you don't read Deuteronomy 5:28, and I actually said this when we talked about Exodus 20, if you don't read Deuteronomy 5:28, you will miss something important, okay? So everybody turn to 5:28, and Matt, make sure the room mic's up, and I need a volunteer to read Deuteronomy 5:28. It's up on the screen, if anybody. If anybody needs it. But if you want to look it up in your Bible, your version, do so. Who's my volunteer? First hand. Yo, Brandy. Woo, woo. My wife. Okay. All right.
Just 28?
Just 28 for right now.
Then the Lord heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me. And the Lord said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of the people which have spoken to you. They are right in all that they have spoken.
Okay, now pause there. We'll have you read 29 in just a second. Right? So, boom, my next slide. I'm going to read verse 29. Yeah, look at that. I told you I was going to be changing things up on you. All right? So, be quiet over there. So, what is verse 28, that we got up here on the screen that Brandy just read? What is Jehovah right in saying? What did they say right before this? If you're there, you can look at it and read it real quick. But if you're familiar with this passage, you might be able to tell me. This is the retelling of the story of what happened in Exodus chapter 20. And there's a piece here in Deuteronomy chapter 5 that we don't get in Exodus chapter 20. What did they say when they heard the 10 words or the 10 commandments? What did they come to Moses and say specifically? Anybody?
Is that when he didn't want him to speak directly to the people, but keep speaking to Moses?
That is when, yes ma'am, that's exactly correct. Miss Nancy said, the people came to Moses and said, no sir. They were afraid. They were like, if we hear this and continue to listen to Jehovah this way, we're all going to die. They had enough sense to realize they were in a bad spot because they're humans and they're sinners. And hearing the voice of God at that level all the time in your sin, some probably wanted to sin. Oh, watch out. Right? They were like, no, Moses, absolutely not. We will die. And then in Deuteronomy chapter 5, we don't get this in Exodus 20, you find that Moses says, and Jehovah agreed with you. You said the right thing, right? I'm not going to do this all the time. It's a really special moment, right? What did I say? Exodus chapter 20 is really important, really special, right? Worth memorizing. And I'm just saying that because I haven't done it yet either, so I'm not trying to be a hypocrite up here, holding you guys accountable for anything that I haven't done. That's right, Derek. Absolutely. I'm honest. All right? So I'm talking to myself. But he says, they have done well in all that they have spoken. So he's like, they're right. They can't hear me all the time. Now, with that being said, here we are. We're in chronological. This is what's going on, okay? So Jehovah spoke from the mountain. Now he's like, all right, Moses, come here. I'm going to talk to you for a second. And you get that at the end of chapter 20. See, he's having a discussion with Moses. And specifically in chapter 21, like the very first thing he says is, and here's the instruction that Jehovah gave Moses. There's not any chronological flags that go, wait, nope, this is over here. It should be before chapter 24. None of that exists right here in the reading. Okay, and by the way, more of the great rabbis agree with me than not. So there's only 2 over here. There's like 5 over here. Okay? Anyways, just an interesting little side note. All right, so then Moses, if you read chapter 24, which I'm not going to read for you, you've already done it. If you haven't, shame on you. Do it tonight. All right? Then, as Moses gets told to come up to the mountain in the beginning of chapter 24 with everyone else, right? Nadab and Abihu, I tried to mix their name up there. come up there with all these elders and come up here and get closer. We'll talk about that in just a second. He right before he does this, he comes to, this is God's instruction to him. Then we find Moses being like, all right, I'm coming, Yehovah, hold up. He doesn't say that, but that's what I believe happened. Okay? And Moses came and told all the people, right, of Yehovah's words and all the judgments. And the people answered in one voice, all right? And they said, we'll do all the things that Yehovah has spoken. Let's see. I think I'm ready for this. All right. So this is the first place where we get this will do. Okay? That word do, what word do you think that word is? Don't look it up. Just off the top of your head. What do you think it is? You've already cheated, Olivia. Oh, okay. Good. Gotcha. What do you think that word is? Will do all the things Jehovah has spoken. Okay, so I'm trying to trap you on purpose, and you're almost there, Derek. You're about to tell me it's obedience, and what all us good Messianics want to say that word is? If it's obedience, what obedience word do we like a lot? Say it, Olivia. Shema, right? Shema, right? Because we always say that means that they use that word for listen, but it actually means listen and obey. Okay, we would all be wrong if we thought that, because this is not Shema. This is them saying, we will asa. We will asa everything that Yehovah speaks. You guys know that the word asa, where that Hebrew word is mainly used, and I'll give you a specific verse. If you would look, you don't have to see if I know I wrote it down here somewhere. Nope, I just said it. So asa, which is the same word that's used for all of the creation story, specifically, let us go and make man in our image. So we're not just talking about a do. We're talking about the Israelites are saying, we will create for him through his words, what he says. We're gonna make stuff that he tells us to make. And I'm sure at this point, Yehovah, don't steal my thunder, Olivia. What were you about to say? No? Oh, okay. All right. So he says, because I got some thunder coming, I promise. So asa is do, meaning make. So they're to the point of like we're gonna of our very sustenance, we're gonna create whatever he tells us to create. All right. So that's in verse 3 here that I just read. Okay. Then he seemingly, without instruction, Moses, right? He's got their word. He tells them with his mouth. He's got their mouth saying, "Yep, we're going to do this. We're going to make whatever Yehovah tells us to." And then he's like, "Okay, I believe you, but we got to do this right." Without seemingly any instruction from Yehovah, what does he do? He goes and he writes it down. So he writes down these instructions that he's received, probably both the 10 Commandments and chapters 21 through 23. He writes them down, and I call that the contract. He reads the contract again. Now he's written them down. So he probably, like I'm doing right here with my notes, right? He likes to talk and tell them stuff. Probably gets off track. Now he wants to make sure he's saying exactly what he remembered and he put on paper. Right? Y'all see that? You see the contrast there. And then he says, all right, now we're going to seal this. We're going to sign it. And how does he sign it? With sacrifices of animal and blood. Literally, bloody as all get out. Boy, you know how lately I've been liking to talk about that whole drink my blood, eat my flesh, right? What's he do? He takes hyssop and he dips it, half the blood from a couple of different animals, particularly a bull. He dips the hyssop in and throws it on the people. Just, yep. Can you imagine me doing that right now? What would you guys think? No, you'd be like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm going to kill you, right? But that's what he does, right? He like get a mental picture, okay? So he throws his blood on them, and then, right, they go up into the mountain. Now, right before he does this, let me see. Yeah, right before he goes in the mountain, we're going to talk about that for just a second here, right? There, look at verse 7. Look what the Israelites say here. And he took the scroll of the covenant and read it in the people of the ears. I'm backing up a little bit from the blood throwing, all right? So I'm backing up. He's reading the covenant. He's reading in the people's ears, and they then at this point say, we'll do everything that Yehovah has spoken, and we'll listen. What does some of your translations say? Because I know you're looking at me right now going, that's not what my translation says. What does your translation say for verse 7? We will obey. It doesn't say, listen, silly, silly Gentile white people. Yes.
Mine says the same as that one. We will do and we will be obedient.
We will be obedient. Yep, this is NASB. That's what I did. I took that, right? Yep, we will be obedient. This, I told you guys, this is a total retranslation from a commentator who also commentates while he retranslates. And he is correct. And why is he correct? Because what word is that right there? Shema. What does Shema mean first? Listen. Okay? And then there's another really interesting thing you should sit and meditate on and go, wait, why would you do first make? Remember, that do's a heavy do. It's like create. My very being and essence and my energy is going to be towards obeying, right? And then we will be listeners. It's like, first, don't you have to listen first and then make, right? So, in essence, what they're saying is, I personally believe it's just an issue of precedence. It's an issue of, listen, you tell us, we'll do it before we hear it. They've already done that. They've already done that now twice. They have already, before they got exactly what Jehovah said, they have already been like, yes, we will obey you. And boy, let me tell you what, the rabbis in their, I'll get you, no, I promise. The rabbis in their wonderful, eloquent language and their commentary are like, and we are the descendants of the people who did this. And then they just barely mention about how, okay, we know they're about to sin, but still, we did this first. It's like, come on, guys. They pretty big sin. Like, they pretty much show that you Jews are just, you rabbis are just as human as any other group of people, Gentile included, especially. Know it.
Actions, words. Actions speak louder than any word.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Actions speak louder than words. Good. Good saying there, right? Actions speak louder than words, and I think the Israelites were doing the right thing here. That their order was correct, okay? But don't forget, this is like two big words. They're huge words. I'm gonna do everything in me before I even hear it. I'm gonna do it, and then when I hear it, I'm gonna do it again. It's not really do it again, but it's just sort of like I'm gonna obey. I'm gonna obey, listen, obey is what they're basically saying right now.
Well, that word do, when you said make, makes me think of make as in make a culture or make a habit of keeping
Ooh, yeah, that's really good. And like, and here's the funny part. It's a lot deeper, in my opinion, than the level at which and I'm not hating on them. I know it sounds like I am, but it's a lot different than the level at which the Jews got to. And that's the reason why Yeshua had to show up and teach his Sermon on the Mount. So they've been doing it since the beginning. The Father and Son have been tag teaming this issue since the beginning. Okay, I know you think when I said this, you're going to come up with your own way of how to do it, but no, I'm going to tell you my way. This is what I'm saying, and that's what Yeshua did on the Sermon on the Mount. He said, are you silly? Are you kidding me right now? You can't just go around lusting after every woman and say, I don't commit adultery. He's like, you've done it in your heart, fool. Sorry. Got some Mr. T going on this morning. All right.
Points, 10 points.
Justin, I'll tell you, this Shema is pretty amazing here in that a lot of times our prayer is kind of, myself is just expressing God, hey, thank you, worship. But I'll ask anybody else, if there's something we're praying for, is asking God, especially Joseph has before, is asking God is, hey, God, what's challenging to me is, hey, basic stuff is, Lord, is there something in my life that you aren't pleasing with that I need to do with? Is, just again, an asking state and asking direction. So even now, if anybody's asking for direction, I'd like to pray alongside with y'all. If this is something I'm striving to do more, is instead of just a one directional to God of just expressing thanks, is asking, like, hey, Lord, what is it you want me to do today?
Yeah. Okay.
Just even big picture stuff is, hey, where should our family be heading in this direction?
Oh yeah.
Before I go to battle, I don't know. This
Ooh, slow your roll now. You're about to steal my thunder. But go ahead, keep going.
I mean, that's it. It's
Yeah.
not listening.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
my
so-
prayers isn't so much as listening as I would like them to be. It's more of almost
So that is.
talking to God.
That's right. And that is, listen, that is very key to something that I have recognized just recently. And I think I knew it all along, but I didn't say it. Because that is not the prayer part. That's the meditation part. Because we think, oh, I don't want to be silly and weird and like the pagans. So when I meditate, that means I got to memorize scripture. No. When you meditate, you shut up and you listen. Sorry, I'm not meaning to be rude at you. That's what I tell myself, right? Be quiet, right? Well, I'm just really, because, for the longest time I would meditate and just try to clear my mind and do like what meditation people do. And I wasn't doing it like the pagans, but I was just doing it like, people say meditation is. And I didn't realize, wait, this is listen. That's very good. And do not lose that for the Jehoshaphat story. And we're going to do our prayer requests and things at the end. And I would love to specifically pray for that. And, anybody, we'll even do it. Come up to the front Jared's going to be mad at me. I'm sorry, Jared. I wasn't waiting for you to leave to do that, I promise. Yeah, so we'll even do something like that, but we'll do it offline, and we'll do it when we pray. Absolutely. Do not let us forget, though. Okay, yeah, so when they went and they sealed it in the blood, and they got the signature for the covenant. Who's here? Oh, hey, guys. When they sealed the blood, they signed it, right? Listen, everybody gets real bent out of shape over this whole, now they go up into the mountain and they see God, and God doesn't touch out his hand to them. Like, wait, how can they see God? Nobody sees God. Like only Moses did. Like, I feel like this is contradictory. Listen, right before Exodus chapter 20, we got 19, and it says, don't even come near the mountain. Then Yehovah has to give them permission to come a little closer. And then right after that, he has to tell them to stay here, and then you come up and see me. So then you ask yourself, well, what did they see? It says they saw God. Look, how many people saw the angel of the Lord, saw some kind of manifestation of God? Jacob wrestled with God, is what it says, and he touched his hip, right? You got to take it all into account. At some point in some place, it's the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit's prerogative on how they measure themselves to show up to people. But I'm telling you right now, the Bible's not contradictory. Moses, if he would have seen the whole entire face and presence of God, he would have dropped dead, even Moses. All right? And God told him that. And God's not a liar. He told him that. What these guys saw, and it actually is funny because the saw word that you have at the very end here is actually the word that is used a lot of the times for a prophetic vision. Right? It's the same exact word used all the time for I saw, right? And usually it's followed with a vision. So they saw something. They saw a reflection, Nolan, of the throne of Yehovah and a sapphire brick-like looking thing underneath the throne. Nolan is really on this cool kick. I called it cool about how that living water coming out from under the throne is just that. The sapphire, very steel, looks steel, but it's not steel because it's living. Listen, I'm sure there's all kinds of cool things Nolan could say, I could say, right? What I want you to do, and that's the reason why, I'm going to probably repeat this again before the day is over. That's why we're titled the way we're titled. The throne, obviously important, right? There are so many places I'm starting to realize. I don't understand how I didn't recognize this before. I always used to say, because we got the blood of Yeshua, we can come before the throne boldly. I prayed it before. In my greatest of desperation, I have prayed it before. But I just don't know if I've truly got a full grasp of how many times, how often, how different, or more inclusive the different descriptions from the different prophets are of the throne room. You've got here, right? We're going to talk about Micaiah here in just a second. He talks about an interesting throne room event. You got Ezekiel, you got Daniel, you got Isaiah, and then you got the book of Revelation, which we're all reading right now, right? And there's some similarities, and there's some interesting differences or other things they saw. I will tell you, one of my favorite teachers I was listening to this week, they encouraged me to do something. Now, if I get the time, I got a long to-do list. We talk about this all the time. Scripture's so awesome. You can spend your whole life having fun with it, right? but I want to get a piece of paper and I just want to go and like on my own, go just sort of diagram each of these incidents where these people seen the throne room of God, get it in my head and get it in my heart. So then when I approach the throne boldly, I might actually slip into a vision and be there, right? Ooh, that'd be awesome. Anyways, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm not trying to, don't be magical about this, but this is obviously, oh, here's another important piece. And I tried to say this the other day, and I think I said it to some other people. I think I said it to Stephanie and Courtney on our way out the other day. Or I said it to somebody. The issue of reality for us, all right? We think about even this reflection of Yehovah's throne and his feet that these men get to see, okay? And they get to see it and probably see it in some kind of magnitude and are protected from Yehovah's hand. So like, however it was done in a way that where they didn't die. That's basically what the Torah is telling us right here. But if you really just, stop and you think about this, we always are reaching out in faith, right? And we're going to talk about that too with our next part. We're always reaching out hard in faith to just see and understand this thing that we think we see it as. And I'm guilty, and I don't say guilty because I like the message I preached not too long ago about how we're not naturalists, we're supernaturalists, right? But what I want to do right now is a little bit of a correction. I want to be like, we are more real than real. Everybody follow me? Because this natural world, I'm not trying to be weird or goofy. This is not your Gnostic message, okay? This natural world is only a smidgen of the real, full picture of the created universe. We're only just a part. And now, for things we're going to talk about later on, and we've been talking about, and it's coming up real soon in our part 1 piece, how important is the tabernacle, the temple, the feast? What did Moses do? What did he do? We find out here later. He wrote down, and we find out the book of Hebrews tells us the same thing. He wrote down what he saw when he's at the top of this mountain, him being the only one that can do it, when he saw the stronger magnitude of a picture of heaven than the other guys got to see. He wrote down what he saw. So that's the reason why you should really be familiar with the instructions on how to build a tabernacle, on what the temple looks like. Because one day, that is going to be the real reality of where you're at, not a shadow picture or just an image or an imitation or a simulation of. When we get out of this thing called the Matrix, again, I'm not being Gnostic. Sorry, I just had to be careful because y'all know anything about the Matrix, the movie. When we get out of this thing that Yehovah has put us here for his reason and his purpose, or we put ourselves here by sinning one way or another, we're going to see what reality really is. So more real than real. All right? And that's why probably some of those goofy mysticism, Zoroasm, Gnostic type messages and, all the silly, pagan things are so bad is because they take a little bit of something you are supposed to be thinking about and meditating on and recognizing that this is not my home. How many Christian gospel songs do you guys know that you shed a tear when you hear those lyrics? This is not my home. Right? We're looking for the sweet by and by. Yeah, we are, okay? That is why the title of this message is obviously important, okay? Just keep that in mind. Get that in your hearts.
Real quick, Deacon says hi, everybody.
Hi, Deacon. All right. Oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to tap next yet. Just a black box up there. Don't worry about it. All right, so we're moving on to part 2, all right? So let's all shift our consciousness, right? Our stream of consciousness to we're moving way ahead into the future. We're in our history and our prophets portion, all right? We are in part 2, okay?
Justin, let me share this. This is the basic stuff that gets me super worked up sometimes. But in Exodus 24, it's fun just shows how the Bible is written by the Lord, because Moses didn't know. I don't think people were going around editing the Bible to say, oh, let me make Moses perfectly line up to be a representation of Christ. And
No, and
somehow it's there.
yeah,
it's
it's
the same.
it's a proof of the architectural design of the scripture as a whole, and including the 66 books, all together. Now, you're about to get me to do something, Derek, that I don't want to do. So I'm going to try not to. You ready? I want to make a statement. That is why whenever leadership, remember the message, the word that I brought forth a couple of weeks ago about how no man is supposed to have a covering, and Yeshua said don't call anyone teacher or rabbi or any, right? Who is your unauthorized covering? Like, don't have an unauthorized covering. Doesn't mean you can't have leadership. It doesn't mean you can't voluntarily decide and say, Justin, you are an authority in my life, right? Because I'm deciding to be a pastor, okay? But it doesn't mean I'm supposed to ever lord over you. And if I ever am comparing myself to Moses, who is, what does Scripture tell us? There is a prophet likened unto me. So the only person allowed in Scripture to compare himself to Moses or to Yeshua was Moses. So when you see pastors up there trying to preach messages where like, yeah, see if you people talk back to me, hole's going to open up and you're all going to be burned up. See what you made me do, Derek? I'm going off on a tangent. Anyways, that's important too, and I totally agree with you that Yeshua is a picture of it. Now, I'm going to challenge everybody, including Derek, because of this, right? I'm going to challenge you hard, right? Get ready or be prepared for the future with, we're going to, this year, when we come, this next cycle, when I say this year, it's going to be a while. Next year, when we get back around to Joshua, right, which will be, like I said, it'll be a while. When we get back around, we're going to focus. I'm going to take some effort and time. I've already started it. I've already got a little sheet going of how we're going to show how Joshua, especially, is a picture of Yeshua in the book of Revelation and in the Ezekiel wars and in all that kind of stuff. Pretty awesome. Something I've just now come across and was like, oh, my teacher. Listen, I've told you guys before, I mentioned his name. He's a Sunday guy. He's not a Messianic. Funny thing is, towards the end of his life, he ended every prayer and ended every prayer with in the name of Yeshua, because he started to recognize in all of his study and all of his teaching, like, wait, there's something to this. And he loves the Torah, right? He just didn't preach and teach like you should be Torah observant. Chuck Missler, you guys heard me mention his name 100 times. I got the book up here, the Learn the Bible in 24 Hours. And you can go to YouTube and you can pretty much, if you think in your mind, this chapter's confusing, go to YouTube, type Chuck Missler, chapter blah, blah, blah of the Bible. And maybe if you're lucky, you get the jackpot and there'll be a video. And he might tell you, because this is how cool he was, you're right, it's confusing, I don't know. But here's some ideas, right? That's the kind of guy he is. So anyways, he's got me going on this Joshua and Yeshua thing too as well. So you're right. Yeshua's everywhere, bro. He is everywhere in the Torah. And I'm glad I can start saying that now without being so cliche. I've gotten to that point to where I'm like able to be like, he's all in it. And like show you and prove it. Like that, I guess it's gotten old and I've read enough Bible to get there. Yes, good stuff. All right, now part 2. Chronicles, chapter 18, verse 20, and we'll do a little splash of 1 Kings chapter 22, right? Because we didn't really talk about that one a whole lot last week, and we're going to use a little bit of it. Boy, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. You guys ready? I know you are, because you've already mentioned it, Derek, and everybody else. And Michelle, you commented about Jehoshaphat, and I said we were going to talk about it. Listen, don't be so hard on him, Michelle. Don't be so hard on him. Don't be so hard on him. We're all a bunch of dirty scoundrels when it comes down to it. But no, you're right. You're right, though. And we'll actually very much so address some of the things. Okay, so chapter 18, we got Israel and Judah just hanging out, sitting on their thrones, their portable thrones at the gate of Samaria. Right? They're just chilling like buddies. They're not really buddies, but for this moment, Ahab, yep, that's Ahab, the Ahab that we have been talking about for the past couple weeks, the loser Ahab and Jezebel, who are the most infamous of kings and definitely the most infamous queen of the nation of Israel. They are downright dirty scoundrels. Last week we didn't really talk about it, but one of the things that just finally, it's funny, Ahab does all this stuff, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about like who he was. Let me see if I got it right here. No, I'll come to it in a minute. He steals somebody's garden, literally kills them, or Jezebel kills this man for him, and he's happy enough to be like, good job, wife, and he goes and takes the dude's garden that the guy wouldn't sell to him. And that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And at that point, Yehovah sends the prophet Elijah to him and says, listen, you're going to die, and the dogs are going to lick up your blood. So we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. Like I told you, sprinkle of 1 Kings chapter 22. Sorry if I'm going too fast, but I'm already feeling that burn, and boy, we got a lot to talk about. All right, chapter 18. They're hanging out by the gate in Samaria. Ahab is really sucking up because he needs something. He's like, hey, will you go with me against Ramoth Gilead? Come on, Jehoshaphat, please, right? And he's killing animals, and he's giving him stuff and gifts and stuff like that. And Jehoshaphat says, look, dude, I need to ask God first, all right? He says, I need to seek, right? I need to listen to Yehovah's permission, right? I need to seek his permission. He also recognized that the 400 prophets were full of it. So the cool thing about Jehoshaphat is that... I'm sorry. We're in 2 Chronicles chapter 18. My bad. I did not point out where we were at. All right, and here we are. This is the throne room. This is here in just a second. The scene we're going to be at when we get to chapter 20. Hold on. Nope. I mean where we're at right now in chapter 18. Sorry, I'm getting turned around backwards. All right. So notice how when these 400 prophets of Ahab are singing and dancing and telling him things and telling him about how they're going to win this battle, Jehoshaphat's like, yo, 400 guys. And he's like, Ahab, do you have a real man of God anywhere around here? And Ahab's like, yeah, but I don't like him because he talks bad about me every time he comes around. And I'm sure Jehoshaphat at that point was kind of like, maybe you should learn something from this dude. This guy's scratching his head, right? And a lot of us think, oh, man, that's Elijah. No, it's a different prophet. It's a different guy that sticks around. Elijah don't like to be around because who wants to kill him? Jezebel, right? So this other guy, for whatever reason, doesn't necessarily have a price on his head. But the problem is this guy is always talking trash. His name is Micaiah. I'm going to say it like that. Sorry, I'm about to break my own entertainment center back here. Micaiah, okay? Listen, it's very important to pay attention to this reading. Any reading, I'm starting to learn so much that the details are truly important. And yes, God and the devil are in the details. I hate to say it like that, but it is true. All right, I don't mean that in any kind of mixture. Ahab knew as well that he was not really getting the truth from these 400 prophets. Read it, reread it, see what he's saying. Just the fact that he knows that Micaiah is around somewhere and that he's the guy that he can always get the truth from means he knows these 400 prophets are blowing smoke. He knows it, right? Man, try not to be a hypocrite. I'm sorry, I don't want to judge people, Father. Don't be mad at me. Probably one of the most difficult things I deal with today that sends me just about into I need to go to bed and sleep because I'm depressed type feeling. And I'm not saying that, it's not like really, truly a mental health statement there. But it does cause my chest to hurt, my stomach to hurt, and everything else. Is when I see people like Ahab who know that they're, I said it this morning to Kyla. I was like, nobody in this family or in this house, and I use bad words, so please forgive me, God and my friends. It's like, nobody in this house is going to sit in their own poop, know that they're sitting in their own poop, and act like they're not doing so. Not going to be allowed. Like, I don't allow anybody to do that. Do I? Do I allow anybody, including myself, right? Don't allow anybody to do that, right? And that's what Ahab's doing. He's just sitting on his throne and poop. But 400 prophets doing nothing but having garbage come out of their mouth, right?
Justin, that's just a foreshadowing of stuff we deal with today as a prosperity gospel. Is, hey, wishful thinking, speak it out, is whatever you desire, proclaim it, name it type thing.
Yeah.
And then also it's like fake it till you make it type thing. As all it is just,
Yeah. Now, I'm with you. That is a dangerous place to go, but I think this is a little not similar, but a little bit different in the sense that this is like, they're not saying that they're claiming. They're literally saying, and we'll get to that in just a second in the story, they're literally like, this is the word from God. I have it. You know what I'm saying? But it can definitely be compared to what you're talking about for sure. But we got to be careful about the name it, claim it terms. And any time it comes to like dealing with even like prosperity gospel and stuff like that, right? We got to be careful because God does want us to prosper, even as our soul prosper, right? Like we are supposed to be the lenders and not the borrowers, right? We have not seen any one of his servants forsaken, the bread forsaken, right? So there's a balance there. And name it and claim it. You better not walk around saying you got a sickness. You know what I'm saying? I was raised in that kind of movement, and I totally agree with you because I definitely saw the abuse. But at the same time, I've come around full circle and been like, you know what? There's something to this, right? But you're right.
Hey, and what about the Levites? Their only inheritance was the Lord, and I would say they were highly blessed. Look, guys, like you're gonna have any.
Man, all that barbecue they got to eat.
Guys, like you're not actually getting
Only-
any physical anything.
Sorry,
you
keep
just
on.
get the Lord.
Yeah, that's all you get.
That's
But
your
listen. Any biblical movie that does not show a priest and any of these paintings, and I've seen them too on the Temple Institute and everything else, that show these priests as skinny little guys, wrong. Every one of these dudes would have been a beefcake. They had to eat a whole lot of protein. I'm telling you. So, yeah, and they had the tithe was theirs, right? They were that's right. They were supposed to be taken care of no matter where they were at. Absolutely. But it was not like their own individual wealth. It was a corporate, like the people blessed them. So there's some kind of a balance there to what oh no, I can't believe I'm about to say this. The Catholics do versus what the name it or the prosperity gospel people. There's somewhere in there, right? There's a proper way. And what I mean by the Catholics, right, is that they live off of the people, but they have to live in sort of kind of like a confined, like this is where you're supposed to be. Somewhere in there in the middle, I think is the right answer. Go ahead, Nolan.
400 prophets all said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
How'd they get them to agree? You had 399 different versions of the same thing.
Just turn on the television.
I mean, you can't get two Baptists to agree.
Just turn on the television. No, you can get different people of different groups to agree very strongly on the stupidest of stuff. Okay.
But the one prophet who came and told the truth, all the rest of them said, "You calling us liars?"
Yeah. Hold on. Stealing my thunder again, Nolan. You always do this. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So remember, the key here that I want us to remember is Ahab knew that these guys were blowing smoke. He knew it, right? And listen, yes, so whether it be in the world, people out there knowing that they're doing the wrong thing and they just don't care, they're getting encouraged to do the wrong thing and they just don't care, or it be like Derek said, the people in the church know, like, man, I can sit here and nobody's ever going to make me feel convicted about anything. I can just get away with everything, right? Okay? Either way, right? Not okay, and I hate it, and I hate to see people do it, and Ahab, you know what? He's going to get his. Okay, but he needs help, and to hopefully get Jehoshaphat's help, he needs to get to the real prophet, because Jehoshaphat realizes, dude, these guys are all fools. Show me a real man of God. I'm not going to take permission from anyone. Now, pay really close attention here, okay? Micaiah is the prophet that is known for telling how it is, not just trying to smooth over the king. He had to have seemed sarcastic at that first mention to King Ahab for King Ahab to know. When he comes up and he tells him, "Tell me, Micaiah, what's up? Like, I know you're not going to tell me what I like to hear, but tell me what's up." He then says, "Oh, go on, you're going to win everything." And Ahab knows from the sarcasm that he's lying to him. He's like, first of all, why are you lying to me? Second of all, you always are going to speak bad. So if that was a lie, which I know you're being sarcastic, now here comes the real truth, and it's going to be crappy. So Ahab's like, really, he's not that dumb. He's dumb, but he's like, he's picking up on it. Okay, but pay real close attention to what Micaiah says here, because this goes to our theme. He saw the throne room. All right, he had a vision. What kind of man was he that Jehovah let him in on this? Is it okay that I'm coveting being Micaiah right now? Can I do that? I know it's breaking one of the 10 Commandments, but this dude's smooth. He didn't just get to see the throne room. He got to see like a personal, private, strategic battle plan conversation that was pretty weird, right? Now he got to see like the I don't want to let the rest of these people know what's happening, except for Micaiah. He can hear what the plan, the scheme we're coming up with. right? The scheme, Nolan, like you said, to purposefully send one of these spirits. Now, what? Okay, somebody help me out. What are these? Who are these spirits? What is he talking about? Spirits. Are we saying it's angels? Are we saying like who are these people that he's looking at and going, all right, this is your next live reality TV show. Whoever can come up with the best way to fool Ahab and get Ahab to go into battle, who's it going to be? Where are you at? To get him to lie to him, to convince him to go do it. Now, think about this. How much does God not like Ahab to basically say, here's the challenge. Challenge is who's going to fool Ahab and make him go die? How much does God not like Ahab? Now, there you go for now we're not in the peace, prosperity stuff. We're in the lovey-dovey, greasy grace, sloppy agape place there, right? Like, that don't fit anything of all the, Jesus loves me. This is tough right here, right? Like, what is going on to where God himself, Yehovah, it says Yehovah, by the way, it's the tetragrammaton, it says Yehovah is sitting in the throne room and he challenges these spirits to come up with a plan to make sure Ahab dies. Like, whoa, that's pretty hardcore. Now, I know, we know that happens all throughout Scripture. We're not foolish, right? But this one's personal. And that's kind of why I was coveting being Micaiah. I want to see these kind of personal conversations. They're pretty cool, right? So here's Micaiah, and he is seeing this, and all these guys, I love it. I love how it says, it's literally like your TV reality competition show. All these spirits are like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. It actually literally says, they said this and that. From the left to the right of the throne, they were, again, obviously important. We're in the throne room. They said this and they said that. And then one spirit comes out and goes, I'm going to do it. And Yehovah looks at him and says, oh yeah? How? Now come on, guys. Do you think? I love it when God asks questions. Even in this throne room scene, he knows what the dude's going to do. He says, I'm going to go down there. And I say, dude, again, I just want to remind you guys, you need to keep the question, who are these spirits? Are they angels? I don't know, right? And better yet, here goes a big doctrinal thing. You ready? Here's a theology point for you. I don't believe that the demons and the devil, well, I shouldn't say the demons, the fallen angels and the devil have necessarily been kicked out of the heavenly realms at this point in the biblical history. Don't get too excited and get upset about it. I believe, just like in the book of Job, they're still wandering around up there. So are some of these folks, like you see on these crazy TV shows and some of these books where guys show demons and angels being buddies, right? Or fallen angels and angels being, conversing with each other? Are some of these people in this crowd like a mixed crowd? Like, which one of you guys are going to do it, right? And this is that one deceptive, bad fallen angel. He's like, I got it. I know what to do, right? Listen, that is total conjecture and just goofiness. Okay, I'm being a little bit too crazy. Let's be safe, okay, and just say it's some angels that need to go do God's work, okay? Some good guys to go do some bad stuff.
It says they're spirits from Hashem.
From Yehovah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Nancy.
And he took the spirit of falsehood.
Who did? Who's he?
Yahweh.
What does it say? Read for me exactly which verse are you talking about?
22.
Yeah.
After he mentioned in 21 the spirit of falsehood. 22, and now behold, Hashem has put a spirit of falsehood in the mouths of the prophets.
Oh, yeah. But through this guy, through this particular guy, and he is, when I say guy, again, this spirit is actually talking and, I shouldn't say breathing. He's up there in heaven having a conversation to where in front of all these people, this spirit is able to go, I'm going to go be a deceiving, lying spirit. And Olivia, I know you mentioned this 100 times throughout, a couple of year process of like, yep, don't forget about that deceiving, lying spirit. You always mention this guy, right? Because when we start talking about what is lying versus what is bearing false witness and all that kind of stuff, right? Nolan, go ahead.
We discussed this at length.
Oh,
It took
no.
quite a while to get through with it. It's a tough job. Somebody has to do it. Ugly guy.
I want to make sure everybody heard that. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
If you got an ugly guy that's doing ugly things in his kingdom, somebody on the good side is going to have to go and take care of the garbage to throw it out at the dump.
Yeah, and that's an interesting piece, too. when you get a picture of the throne room, you actually get to answer some questions that you don't even realize you're answering. Like when you ask yourself, so that guy, like for instance, let's take Saul. God said Saul and his whole entire line were going to be killed. How did God make that happen? I know we all like to think he just went boom and did it. I'm not trying to say he can't. I'm just saying this shows us a picture of how he's got some other stuff going on in heaven. Remember what I said today, guys? Remember what I said? That we are the more real.
We're not
right?
there.
Not just the real.
We're not there, so we can't say all we can do is conjecture and guess. I compare it to the military.
Except for right here, we got a picture of what actually happened.
Right. I compare it to the military. Somebody's got to go to the machine gun nest and take it out. Who's going to volunteer? Because it's a deadly job. Well, one guy go this way, the other guy go that way.
I'm not sure, Nolan. You're trying. So here's what you're doing. Hold on a second. Pause.
Okay,
I'm gonna come back to your comment, Olivia. Go ahead. Hurry.
I'm saying that I do not mention this guy when I talk about that, but I do mention how Yah allows for prophets to have deceptive prophecies that even come to pass.
That's right.
Or allow for deceptions to occur.
Okay. Good.
But I kind of forgot. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry, Olivia. Sorry, camp counselor. Okay, back to Nolan's point. All right, talking about it like being military, right? And then the guy going, I'm sorry, Nolan. I have to tell you that your analogy's a little off, and here's the reason why. I am almost sure this spirit enjoyed what he did. I'm almost positive he went down to earth and was like, ha, 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 look at these 400 dancing fools. And I got them all to say the wrong thing, especially including, what's his name? Somebody help me out, who's got their Bibles open. It's a Zedekiah, right? Zedekiah, who ends up slapping, right?
Questionable because
Where I was
it's
going.
literally where it's Kana'ana, which is Anah is really not a good word, so it's weird that he would come from it.
Go ahead, Nolan.
Where I was going, the Creator always knows what's going on regardless. He knows everybody. He knows who's in his
Oh,
soul.
yeah.
He knows what's happening.
Yeah.
And he knew the guy could do it because he was slithering and slimy.
So you think that guy was slithering and slimy? I'm not sure, Nolan. I just think he was smart. That's all. I think he was smart. All right.
So Justin, just because God is creator of all things, it's the yin and the yang. Just because God chose to create Satan doesn't mean God is evil. Just even, I was thinking about salvation. Oftentimes we think of salvation as an us thing, which it is personal. But God says He's chosen His portion. So I was thinking about Christ. Salvation is who has been the portion selected for His worship. Some utensils were created for the trash and the fire. Some utensils were created for a pure purpose, which is just worship to the Son. So I was thinking, how awesome is salvation? It's really a Christ focus because I just was trying to somehow articulate to Michelle, I can fathom in a fallen mind that it's more pleasing to the Father God if there's 10,000 purified worshipers that's been tried, tested, selected, worshiping the Son versus one worshiper. He gets more glory with, let the Lamb that was slain receive the fullness of His reward. So the more worshipers that's been kind of set up, I don't know, I can just see that as, hey, glory is magnified by maybe abundance, right? So
Yeah.
if there's more worshipers, either way, all that to say is sometimes I struggle with these thoughts, but ultimately I can see how, hey, whatever spirit was allowed in God's presence is, it had me questioning the goodness of God. It's like, why would God do this? Like, that's kind of messed up, but anyhow.
Okay. Now, he actually has come to my biggest point in this particular subject matter, right? So, and I've already kind of started to address this, right? First I was kind of confused where you're going because I was like, he don't got 400 worshipers, he got 400 fools, and he's only got one true prophet, right? And he set that up, right? But I'm with you though. I do agree with you though. Like there is accountability to a poor harvest, especially when it comes to souls, right? In the New Testament for sure. Okay, but that's why I was kind of like, well, it's opposite. But I see what you're trying to say here. Bye, Paul. See you later. I see what you're trying to say here. Okay, so Now, with the idea of what the goodness, he wants to bring all these people in. So, I've been talking about it for weeks. I'm gonna try to bring this in real smooth. Like, I've been talking about this for weeks now when we've been mentioning about the book of Revelation. And how I disagree with all the people who try really hard to take particular prophetic language about the end times and the book of Revelation and make it softer. Some of these people I totally enjoy otherwise. I really like them. You might find me telling you to go listen to them in most cases, okay? But I have a big problem with not recognizing, because what you do when you don't recognize that there are people, yes, there are people who have inside of them, not because they were chosen to be that way, sorry, I'm just not being Calvinist, who inside of them, like Ahab, have determined to not only be bad themselves, but take your 10,000 with them. See my point?
Satan's like, I can't
Whoops.
defeat my creator, so I'm just going to take as many with me as I can. I'm going to hurt his children. Ultimately is how I've seen our adversary is. I guess.
Right. But hold on. Don't just think about Satan that way. And I'm not trying to tell you that you can go and find your Ahab. But what I'm trying to tell you is that that's what we do, and that's what I've done, and that's what a lot of us Christians do when we're trying to fix this whole God's goodness love part with the blood up to the bridle of the horse. We're trying to make it palatable for us. It's easy. There are people, I'm going to be real, that's not just for you, Derek, this is for other people listening, but they might not like what I'm about to say. There are people out there taking 4-year-old, 3-year-old children and giving them to other men to do terrible things with on a regular basis. One of the first times I ever heard Jordan Peterson and Jocko Wilkins talk about the biggest problem with, and I'm about to be political, liberalism in this country is the fact that they ignore one very, very important thing. Evil does exist. Not just in the devil and his fallen angels, but that evil exists extremely in the heart of men, and some men have chose to grasp that evil and make it their very presence in who they are. And Ahab and Jezebel were those folks, and that's the reason why Elijah says the dogs are going to lick up your blood. That's the reason why God says I'm going to press these people's blood out like the wine press, right? So the problem we have as believers, and I've had it, so that's why I'm kind of speaking from experience. I mean, just recently I've had it. What we'll do is, because we want to be comfortable with the love aspect, we don't recognize that the justice aspect, we can imagine it. We just stop for just a second, we can imagine. I'm not saying like, you know me, I'm the guy who's always talking about the log and the splinter. This is beyond log and splinter. We're talking like people who have united themselves. You know, I've actually heard people say before that they're like Ahab and Jezebel in themselves are worse than Satan. Like humans have gotten to a place to where they're not operating, the devil's not making them do it. And Jared believes this really hard, and he actually believes it so much that he's like, I think the real problem's people, right? Like the evil that we invent and create, right? It's not the devil made them do it. It's not like God's pulling some strings over here and the devil's pulling some strings over here.
God wants us to be image bearers of Him, as ultimately the only way we can do that is in the covenant of Christ. So what's the opposite of that? Is a son of Satan.
Amen.
So you're an image of Satan.
Hold up. Hold on. I think I have it here. Ready? I think. Here it is. Ready? Yehovah wants Ahab to go out to the battle and fail. I've already talked about that, right? Like I've already mentioned. Like this is crazy. This is a setup. It's an intentional setup to get Ahab out there to fail, to look like a fool, and to fulfill the prophecy that Elijah prophesied about the dogs licking up his blood, right? Ready? And this is what I said. Remember, he is intentionally leading Israel's people away from the one true God. And when I say intentional and what he's doing, listen, if we were to sit here and talk about it, it'd be just as bad as the thing I mentioned just earlier, and even worse. They're selling children, they're selling women, they're selling weak people, everything you can think of, the goodness of God, they're purposely, intentionally violating and teaching other people to do the same. And he knows that Yehovah is the right way, but does not want to follow him and does not want anyone else to either. That is, and I wrote it right here. I want you to come look at my iPad. Satanic at the core.
Absolutely.
It's literally like these people have become the image bearers, like you were saying. I really like that, Derek, of their father, Satan. And think about Yeshua. Think about what he said to the Pharisees. Oh my goodness, to the chosen God people. Right? What? Listen, I only say all this stuff, and I'm only, being so passionate about this because I've realized the balance lately. But please hear me. Nolan, I'm talking directly to you. And you know what? To be honest with you, I accuse you of this kind of stuff, like you would go out there and start, beating up on sinners, right? But I know you don't, and I know you're a loving guy, and I'm just kidding, right? But that still doesn't mean there's a place where I think somebody can go so bad that we're not talking about Moat Splinter, and you can identify me, we can agree that dude is devilish. And if God can fix him, that's powerful, right? We could say that, right?
Ain't too bad, I'm here to beat up.
Yeah, I am. So but at the same time, I don't believe it's our goal or our place. It's only our place to understand that. It's not our place, mine and yours, to go identify it, right? We can identify hindsight being 2020 with Ahab, right? And we can say what the horrible, evil things that people are doing out there, if they continue to do it, they are the ones that get pressed down like wine, like grapes or whatever. But like I've always said, the greatest hymn to ever be sung, and the man who taught the man who started the process that caused the horrible slave trade to be ended was a slave trader himself for 20 years. And then he wrote Amazing Grace. And then he mentored Wilberforce into changing the evil that he was so ashamed of. Now here's the key though. Here's true repentance. That homeboy, sorry, don't be so disrespectful. That gentleman went and became a monk and sat and served God because he was like, I might be able to save my soul for the horrible things that I've done. That's the difference between Ahab being like, put Micaiah in jail because I hate him talking. You see, the difference between the man who wrote Amazing Grace and Ahab is Ahab just kept on not recognizing, and Jehovah probably even gave him chances like Elijah and other people, and Micaiah, right? Like the guy who always tells him the thing you don't want to hear. Go ahead.
Yes, we were thinking about Paul. Is God, we're not to take God off his throne as judge. He knows hearts, we can only see actions. Because even Paul, he's a murderer, but because he thought he was doing right, God knew his heart. He even took the scales off his eyes.
That's right.
He didn't see that he was doing wrong, or he wouldn't have done it. He had that kind of heart. That's why God ultimately, he judges hearts, not just actions.
That's right. That's right. But I want you to remember, I want everyone to remember one of my favorite anti-Calvinist passages, like absolute favorite in the book of Samuel, or no, that may not be Samuel, it might be 2 Kings, we might be getting there actually, where the priests are sacrificing children to Molech in the temple. And Jehovah says, that thing that you are doing, what you guys are doing is so evil. I didn't even know you were doing it. Just like he said with Sodom and Gomorrah. We got to go down and see if this report is true. God's so good, Derek. He can't even see that disgustingness that some of us, not me, and hopefully not you, but humans come up with, right? I know it's not you. I shouldn't have said that. That's terrible. Definitely not you, Derek. Goodness gracious. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like these people, come up with, right? And God said to the Israelites, he said through the prophet, I couldn't even imagine you could do something like that. I'm so good and darkness is not in me that I couldn't even see you being that dark. It's that bad. So that's why I'm like, God doesn't know everything. We have gotten to a point and a place in the pinnacle of stuff. God knows everything, so please, I know Blaz is scary to everybody, right? But he's so good, right, that there are certain things he can't even so awesome just to sit and think about. There's certain evil that happens that he's just like, I'd almost go so far as to say that answers the question. That answers the question of, can God make a rock too big for him to pick up? Yep, if he wants to.
But then if he wants to, can't he pick it up?
Yep,
If he wants to.
if he wants to. There you go. Got any more questions? I just solved hundreds of thousands of years of theological warfare. Just saying, right there. Okay.
We're done. Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. We're done. We're finished. All right. Oh man, listen. Okay. Yep. Already asked that. Okay. Got the lion spirit guy who comes in and he does what he's supposed to do. Look, Zedekiah slap. Right. That's what this is. It's developing into the Zedekiah slap. Let me go to my next slide and see. Okay. No, I'm actually jumping ahead, but that's fine. The Zedekiah slap. Oh man. He actually believed, guys, he went up to that man pretentious and said, the deceiving spirit did such a good job that Zedekiah was like, I know that was the word of the Lord in my mouth. And Micaiah was like, yeah, didn't you just hear me? It was, but it was intentionally wrong. And he slaps him, right? Micaiah doesn't slap him, Zedekiah slaps him. And I'm sure at this point, Micaiah's like, doesn't hurt. This is like a school ground, like, fight going down here. And the only grown-up in the group is Micaiah. And maybe Jehoshaphat, right? Oh, wait, we missed something. Somebody go read. No, I missed it from the last time. I don't think we can change stream of consciousness. Don't let me forget, we need to read Deuteronomy 5, verse 29 at the very end. Somebody remind me. Okay. Man, I missed my opportunity. That's what happens. All right. So, let's see. They go, okay, so we get the slap. What happens, right? He still needs help. He gets help from Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat agrees, like, yeah, we'll go out there. They don't listen to... They put Micaiah in jail. Nobody listens. I think Jehoshaphat was listening, but I think he was just like, hey, I want to see what happens. I'm going to go out here with my men. The prophet said everybody's just going to be running away, and he's going to be the one that's dead. So I think I'm pretty safe. So let's go out here and watch this show happen. It's going to be a circus. Woo! Do, right? And as they get out there, what does Ahab do? He actually publicly says, hey, so yeah, by the way, I'm gonna hide. I'm not gonna be in my robes, but you stay in your robes. He literally, I'm sure Jehoshaphat was sitting there going, dude, I'm not an idiot. I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to trap me into looking like you. And what does Jehoshaphat do when the men turn towards him to come to him for the battle? What does it say he does, Derek? What we were just talking about earlier. He cries out to Yehovah. He doesn't play around. He's like, hey, I'm in a bad spot. I'm in a bad way. These men really want to kill Rahab. In Kings, it actually says the king, the particular king, and I think it may say here as well, the particular king that was coming after him was like, look, I don't want you to kill anybody, just anybody. I just want Ahab. Just get Ahab, right? So he cries out to Yehovah. They think that it's Ahab. Somehow Yehovah shows these men that's Jehoshaphat. That's not Ahab. Jehoshaphat's saved. God likes Jehoshaphat. We're going to come to some fun here in just a second, and I'm going to prove it even more. Do I have my remote? I don't have my remote. You have my remote, Matt? I have my remote. There it is. Got to make sure the TV's turned up. Okay. All right. So, somebody open up your Bibles, and, let's see. So, when the captains of the chariot saw Jehovah, yep. So, this is what I was just talking about. God diverted them from him. God wins. God is back. All right, so let's finish up before we read 19. Yeah, we're going to finish up here. So what happens to Ahab? You got a random arrow. I love it. An arrow that was not intended to hit him. It wasn't aimed at him. Just an arrow from the sky comes down, hits him in his particular armor. Ahab dies. We're done with this bad guy we just got through talking about. He's dying. He knows he's dying. He tells the man to turn around, and he leans. The version in Kings chapter 22 tells us that he leans on the chariot and just sits there and watches the battle and passes out and dies. Now, the splattering of 1 Kings chapter 22 that I was going to read you is 1 Kings chapter 22 verses 37 and 38. All right? That arrow wasn't so random. By no means. Okay? So the king died and was brought to Samaria, and they buried the king in Samaria. So Ahab gets buried in Samaria. They washed the chariot by the pool of Samaria, and the dogs licked up his blood. This is also the place where the harlots bathed themselves. The same harlots he and his wife had set up in the land of Israel. The same goddess worship, sex rites, craziness that was going on. All right? According to the word of Yehovah which he spake. So the blood is licked up by the dogs, just like Elijah said. And we got to see a little bit of a structure, blueprint of how Yehovah puts all that stuff together. There's still like Nolan said, it's a lot of conjecture, right? But we gotta, so here's the conjecture, and we gotta, there's Micaiah seeing in the throne room. Like we got like a little spot of things that happen. We know that arrow wasn't random. Which spirit came down to direct that arrow, right? How did Ahab end up in the right exact spot? Was there a spirit that helped it happen? I don't know. There was a spirit that made all those guys lie. Maybe. See what I'm saying? You guys follow me? Right? It's not doctrine. It's just read it, think about it, and you can, like I said, find yourself answering or kinda answering some questions you might have had for many, many years. All right?
God is sovereign, even can direct the random arrow.
That's right. He can do whatever he wants, like we just got through talking about, right? Yes, ma'am.
He says in Deuteronomy, Song of Moses, all his paths are justice.
Miss Nancy with the Song of Moses. You know, she just called all of you out because I ain't heard anybody memorize the Song of Moses, and it's been like 6, 7 months, maybe 8. Miss Nancy's the only one who keeps on bringing it up. Just saying. Y'all, I haven't either. I haven't either. It's on my to-do list. Okay. How's everybody doing? We doing good? All right. Somebody open up chapter 19 real quick. It's only 11 verses. I want somebody who can read well, read it loud and proud. Matt, will you please make sure on the headphones that the room, I know you did already, I just want to make sure the room mic volume is still good. Ready? Who's reading? I need a hype man. I need like that guy, I've told you guys about this before, I need that guy like they have at the Church of God of Christ of the world, where he sits up there and the bishop is like preaching and he looks at his guy and he's like, that's right, read it. All right, so who's going to be my guy? Or girl? I'm going to stand up for this one.
He volunteered me, so he has
No, yeah. Micah's like not even got a Bible. Who's going to do it? Come on, Olivia. Nope. Olivia, just open up. Why not? I'm not going to yell at you. All right, David, you got it?
I was looking back.
I just need somebody to open up 2 Chronicles chapter 19 and start reading.
Come on, Lydia.
You got it, Matt?
Lydia.
That's not going to work. Oh, I need one, by the way.
I think I have yours.
I don't know where mine's at.
I think I have yours.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there in a minute.
King James Version.
You got it? Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Yes. All right. Y'all make a visitor read for the first time. Look at you people.
And Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, returned to his house in peace in Jerusalem. And Jehu, the son of Hanani, the seer, went out to meet him. Is that it?
That sounds right.
And said to
Trust
King
me, I'd murder
Jehoshaphat, shouldest thou help the ungodly and love them that hate the Lord?
All right, Paul's right there. So you gotta, look, so this is how it works, right? You gotta notice when I'm ready to come in, okay, right? So, listen, for all those people that had a question, Michelle, Yehovah's not letting him get away with nothing, right? He's like, he has the prophet come and say, hey, are you so foolish that you're gonna be hanging out with that dummy over there? You could have gotten shot. You know, you imagine it's your best friend coming up to you, you know, the prophet guy. Go ahead, keep reading.
Therefore is wrath upon thee from before the Lord. Nonetheless, these are good things found in thee, that thou hast taken away the groves out of the land, and hast prepared thine heart to seek God. And Jehoshaphat dwelt at Jerusalem, and he went out again through the people from Beersheba to Mount Ephraim, and brought them back unto the Lord God of their fathers. And he set judges in the land throughout all the fenced cities of Judah, city by city, and said to the judges, Take heed what ye do, for ye judge not for man, but for the Lord.
Okay. You judge not for man, but for the Lord. Jehoshaphat got something in just down in his gut, in his soul, that said, listen, we're going to do this right. We haven't done this right yet. We're going to do this right. And he specifically tells the judges, you ain't doing this for you and for your benefit so you can get rich, politician. Sorry. Anyways, go ahead. Keep going.
Ye judge not for man, but for the Lord, who is with you in the judgment. Wherefore now let the fear of the Lord be upon you. Take heed and do it, for there is no iniquity with the Lord our God, nor respect of persons, nor taking of gifts. Moreover, in Jerusalem did Jehoshaphat set of the Levites, and of the priests, and of the chief of the fathers of Israel, for the judgment of the Lord, and for when they returned to Jerusalem. And he charged them, saying, Thus ye shall do in the fear of the Lord, faithfully and with a perfect heart. And what cause soever shall come to you of your brethren that dwell in their cities, between blood and blood, between law and commandment, statutes and judgments, ye shall even warn them that they trespass not against the Lord, and so wrath come upon you and upon your brethren. This do, and ye shall not trespass. And behold, Amariah the chief priest is over you in all matters of the Lord, and Zebadiah the son of Ishmael, the ruler of the house of Judah, for all the king's matters. Also the Levites shall be officers before you. Deal courageously, and the Lord shall be with good.
Look,
Shall be with the good.
I feel like, so first of all, I call this Jehoshaphat's revival. We're going to come later. I've been telling you that we're going to come later to Hezekiah's revival, which that's where everything just is the best. But Jehoshaphat's revival and you guys see why I wanted us to read chapter 19 out loud, right? Chapter 19 is something you should go back and read because it should be your decree. And notice, it's so deep and simple, though, but deep, that he even goes so far as to say, not just, hey, do the right thing, right? That, make sure, you don't accept a bribe or anything like that. He goes on so far to explain the details and the reasons why, and that like God is no respecter of persons, and then he charges them even more so, and then he sets the Levites in their proper order, and he puts everybody in order. But it's the way that he says it. Anybody here? Me and Mike. I tried to get Micah to watch it. He wouldn't watch it with me because he's too cool of a kid to watch Kingdom of Heaven. Has anybody seen the movie Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom? And it's a great movie. I told you, right? I even like rewound and fast forward the part where the Germans like, I say he's innocent. Let's fight and let God decide.
I was just
right?
tired. I went to bed.
I'm trying to talk about you and the movie at the same time. Be quiet. So anyways, so Kingdom of Heaven, right? The point, I love it. Years ago, you know what? I don't even want to talk about it. Because I'm going to cry, and I'm going to get upset, and I'm going to be mad at myself. But I have learned years ago, about how it's really important to like do particular things, kind of where a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah comes from, with your children to sort of call them out at certain points in their life, especially when they are a man. Maybe one day, son. Anyways, so, sorry, just kidding. Listen, I cried like a baby your whole entire bar mitzvah. Yeah. Yep, I don't think I said a word. Nobody stopped crying. It was awesome. So anyways, in the movie Kingdom of Heaven, when the father's dying, which is played by none other than Liam Neeson. Yep, Liam Neeson, right? He's dying. He's done. He's got to pass his land over to his son, which, by the way, it's his bastard child, right? He had this child out of wedlock, but it doesn't matter. He's like, yep, you get a second chance. You're going to Jerusalem. You're going to rule things. And then he does this whole like knighthood thing, right? Where he like puts him in front of him and holds him accountable for taking care of the people and taking care of the poor. And then he slaps him right across the face and is like, I did that so that you'll never forget to never allow anyone else to do that to you again. I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel about chapter 19 here in 2 Chronicles, right? It's a Jehoshaphat, little even bit more detailed. Like the instructions, if you look at them almost as a vow, right? And some of them are a vow, right? It's pretty powerful, and I like it. Jehoshaphat's revival, very important, something to always go back on. Remember, 2 Chronicles chapter 19, it's a good one. And then from there, yes.
See, I'm glad you're so optimistic and encouraged by Jehoshaphat, because me,
You were worried about him.
particularly, so I think Paul recently, I don't know who was it, Michelle, that was saying, look, I don't care what you think about me. It doesn't matter what I think about myself. Ultimately, it matters what God thinks about me. So there's some of that I've got to flesh out.
Yeah.
But working out our salvation with fear and trembling, it's good to do some meditation, because I'm like, Lord, just being honest, is I'm not one of these people that has just struggled where I'm like, let's rebel against God. I don't want to like apart from you. There's kind of almost like I can relate to Jehoshaphat, where I'm like, I kind of see mixture. I say I love God, but then I see other things where I'm like, well, we love God, but I don't know if there's some other things that maybe, just kind of like Joseph God is like, dude, why are you hanging out with that guy? But yet you're good, so.
Why?
You know.
Why, Derek, do you think God puts these stories in this architecturally designed book you were reminding us all about earlier? Because, man, we're not perfect. We're not. And we make mistakes. It's better to be the best you can, and that's what you should be striving for. But like you talked about, Paul wasn't straight. We know Peter messed up all the time, even after the Holy Spirit, right? Like, yeah. Well, you're getting me into a place today. And I love it, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm never going to get anywhere. You're good, though. It's great. It's awesome. Please don't stop, because I'm sure when we get to the next thing, you're going to be just fine. Oh, just let it play. Make sure the room mic's up. I'm not worried about it.
Alright.
Yep, we're fine.
I'm gonna turn your lapel down though so it doesn't feedback. Just a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. All right, so unfortunately for all of you Baptists in the room, you did not have the pleasure of being raised by Gospel Bill and Nicodemus here. I, on the other hand, had the fortunate, what? What, Nolan?
I had no choice.
Okay, I know. I'm just messing with you.
I thought I knew who that was.
Yeah. Gospel Bill, right? Gospel Bill is an awesome, by the way, young person biblical curriculum. Like, boy, I'm gonna look to try to buy all the DVDs, but it's pretty powerful. It's good stuff, and they always had songs in every show, and they were like acted out songs. And here, this is how we're gonna talk about chapter 20 of 2 Chronicles today. Is everybody ready? Hopefully it works. Yeah, it's gonna work.
Hey, it worked. Wow.
Oh, we spoke too soon. Nope,
Hey, come here. I'm going to read you a story out of 2 Chronicles chapter 2.
not the best quality, but you'll get it.
And how he defeated his enemies. Wait, I got a better idea. Let's all close our eyes and go there right now.
Great pixelated.
singing something like this. Praising, they were praising God so much that they turned about everywhere. And as they turned the corner down by the wilderness, they found a little spit out of it. Yeah. Down by the watchtower, they saw the strange sights. There were hundreds and hundreds of men and soldiers laid dead from a horrible fight. When all those singers and musicians began to sing, praise the Lord. The Lord hosts and pushed back in an army, 'cause His word is like a two-edged sword. Fear not, your God is in you. Fear not, just praise the Lord. Battles for you. There's nothing that He won't do but you. Fear not. Fear not. Fear not. Fear not.
That was weird.
Hey, hey,
Weird was hit. No one says it's weird this week.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No, that wasn't weird. That was awesome, Nolan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'll go back to your corner.
Yeah, get in the corner.
Cowboys in Scotland with their kilts on.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They do the best they can, Bill. They were in Oklahoma.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I just teared up a little bit. That reminded me of something.
Oh yeah, I know. I had my children watch it years ago for a lot of the time, especially on Sabbath mornings. We would turn on some gospel Bill, because that was when it was on like Christian television Saturdays. They even, and this is 1980s, like late 80s, mid 80s, like it's way back then.
I just didn't know that they had electric guitars back then.
No, they didn't. But the point still remains, right? As you see right here, they put the Levites and the musicians out in front with the harps and the lyres, and they worshiped God on the way out to the battlefield. And they knew that God was going to fight the battle for them, but they didn't know how. It says they got there, the people were dead on the field like we've seen in the video, and there was so much loot for them to take back to their home that they didn't have enough to even like carry. Right, they have the ability to. So God really showed up for them, right? And fear not, Nolan, fear not. All right, good stuff. So here's the final words on Jehoshaphat. Who wants to read 2 Chronicles 20 verses 29 through 27, loud and proud?
Oh, look at the
Who's got
volunteer.
it? Ready? Miss Nancy. Yeah, come on.
The dread of God came upon all the kingdoms of the lands when they heard that Hashem was doing battle with the enemies of Israel. Jehoshaphat's reign was thus tranquil, for his God granted him respite from all around.
That's right.
So Jehoshaphat reigned over Judah. He was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 25 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Azubah, daughter of Shilhi. He followed the way of his father Asa and did not deviate from it, doing what was proper in the eyes of Hashem. However, the high places did not cease. The people still did not dedicate their hearts to the God of their forefathers. The rest of the earlier and the latter events of Jehoshaphat, behold, they are recorded in the words of Jehu, son of Hanani, which was appended to the book of the kings of Israel. Afterwards, Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, allied himself with Ahaziah, king of Israel, who had acted wickedly. He joined forces with him to make a fleet to go to Tarshish, and they built ships in Ezion-Geber. Eleazar, son of Dodavah of Orisha, prophesied about Jehoshaphat, saying, because you have allied yourself with Ahaziah, Hashem has wrecked your undertakings. The
Okay? So we got a lot there, right? Just those few verses. Okay? You got the fact that he's getting credit from Yehovah. He got credit earlier from the prophet. He got credit for basically turning the people away from other gods and not worshiping other gods and being faithful to God. But he didn't remove all the high places. And if you read our little sprinkling, like I said, in 1 Kings chapter 22, it specifically gives you a clue of the fact that they were it doesn't say, and again, I'm stretching it here, I admit to you, it doesn't say that they were or were not worshiping other gods on the high places. But when you have a phrase beforehand that they weren't following after other gods, and then you have, but they were still have at the high places, you go read what it says in 1 Kings chapter 22. It says they were burning incense and sacrificing on the high place. There's only one place for incense to be burned to Yehovah. That's inside the holy place on the golden altar, which we're going to talk about here in just a second with the book of Revelation. Okay? So it's very specific instructions on that. And we've also talked about to ad nauseum the fact that where are we supposed to sacrifice? Where Yehovah puts his name. Not in that, in this case, it's already been proven to be Jerusalem, not in our own little high place like they worship the other gods of the land. So they weren't necessarily worshiping other gods, they were worshiping our God, this God, the one true God of Israel, of Judah, the wrong way. It can be done. We're not going to listen to any cutesy, tootsie, fruity pastors and people talking about they can do whatever they want and name it, claim it, right, and act it however they want to. We're going to call them out when we see it, and we're going to say, look, you cannot worship God any way you want to. He has specifications. Even in the renewed or new covenant, I don't care how, if the law is supposed to be written on your hearts, then don't be doing animal sacrifices in your backyard. Okay? And a hundred other things I could come up with.
That's just a symptom of the way that's like to a man.
That's right. It leads to death, to destruction. And something that we've been talking about lately, and I got to be careful here because, again, I could spend too much time. We ain't got no time. We're Neil now. I am telling you that I believe personally that a level of commitment and faith and obedience to God cannot be reached unless you recognize the fact that there is, at least to some measure, there is some applicability to the Torah. And then I'm going to go so far as to say you get rid of the high places in your life. Now, I know this could upset a lot of people, not necessarily in this room, but other people that are watching me. And what I mean by that is yes, you do not tolerate in your own life worshiping God in a questionable way. Right? Just even if it's questionable. Right? I don't care if you can determine that something's pagan or not pagan. I had somebody this week, I saw a post on Facebook. I doubt they'd be watching, but if they are, I don't mind them hearing me. And they actually said the same thing. And they're smart. They're a smart individual. Very smart individual. And what's going on back there? Who is that? They're being loud. Kenzie! Stop being disruptive. Anyways.
That's reserved for me.
I know, right, Nolan? Jeez. Just taking your spot. So my point is that this person, let me go back to what they said. They posted something on Facebook, and what they said was they actually asked somebody if we, sit at the table and eat a certain dinner a certain way, and pagans do that too. Does that make us pagan? And I nearly cried. And here's the reason why I nearly cried. I've told you guys this before. The Sunday pastor that basically said, hey, you can't, listen, I respect the man as all get out. And I respect the man with a lot. Put it that way. That's what I should say. But he basically, the next Sunday after we had the conversation, and I told him that we weren't going to do things the same way anymore. We're going to keep Sabbath on Sunday, that I did not want to worship the way that that the regular churches had been determined to worship for thousands of years, because I knew they were connected to not godly things, if not directly connected to pagan things, how anybody wants to put that. His next Sunday message, he mentioned this thing about pagan connections of Christmas and Easter, and he said, that's foolish, it's stupid, oh my gosh, if pagans drive cars, which they do, are you going to stop driving cars? Seriously right now? Like, read your Bible. And the worst part about this person who posted this is I know they read their Bible. Like, I know they read their Bible. And we're not talking about eating a meal. We're not talking about driving a car. We're not talking about drinking water. We're talking about specifically what pagan, and then this, the point that the person was trying to make, well, if a pagan drinks water out of a certain cup to their God, can you buy that cup? Really? Come on, where's your heart at? Like, seriously. Those kind of questions to me, I feel like are obvious, like flashing neon light obvious of I'm trying to get away with something. I'm trying to be comfortable and measure back down my level of commitment to the word of Yehovah. It's frustrating. Very frustrating. Okay? Sorry, that was me on my high horse for a second. I'm off of it now. Last thing that you find with him going and hanging out with Haziah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy because Haziah, right, gets one chapter mentioned versus Ahab and Jezebel getting tons of mentions, right, because he was worse than his father and his mother. He was so bad that, like, we don't even get to hear how bad he was. Except for, like, in one chapter, we get to hear that he was that bad. He was worse than his parents. And Jehoshaphat did a very bad thing. Derek, this is to, like, we're going to judge, and we're going to make a judgment call on Jehoshaphat. This is the high place thing. Everybody else was messing it up, too. And the prophet already said, look, you messed this up. You're still not doing this right. But, hey, God says you're good folk, right? So we can even look past that, right? That's also possibly a reason why we shouldn't judge other people who don't recognize the high places. Anyways, we shouldn't hate them. We shouldn't see them as evil, is what I'm trying to say. But my point, though, here with Jehu and, that being excusable, him hanging out and making a treaty with Ahaziah was a bad, bad thing. And we don't get to hear a whole lot about it, not in Kings, not here in Chronicles, other than it really upset God. And God's like, what? Like I said on my last slide, what's he doing? Has he lost his mind? All right? Yeah, others were sort of like I said, he's just hanging around to see what's happening, right? What does Ahab doing, right? Like, it wasn't so much his benefit. In this case, in the other case, it's like him becoming friends with and making a treaty with a really bad dude. And the prophet had to come to him again and be like, what's your problem? Stop it. I believe Jehoshaphat, listen, I believe Jehoshaphat's going to be somebody we're going to get to talk to in the sweet by and by. All right, I don't have much time. And because I put my limit is 5 o'clock, but my hard limit is 5:30. So, and we got 20 minutes, all right? And we got to talk about Revelation. And actually, interesting thing about Revelation chapter 8, 9, 10, and 11, which, that's weird. I just wrote 8 through 10. That's what we're supposed to have gotten through, remember, because I didn't do 8. It's actually going to be way quicker than I thought, because I'm still not quite ready to do the whole Daniel thing, but I can do that real easily because I've been doing so much learning and listening lately that I'm like, dude, this is not that complicated. But with that being said, what is the theme of today? The throne room. Obviously, really important. We get a lot of picture of the throne room here in what's going on in chapters 8 through 11 and what we just got through talking about before. Some key things I want you to remember. Notice, as we're going through Revelation, and including here, we're going to see it again here, right? If we go back and you look in the future, every time we get to that number 6, after six seal, after 6 trumpets, right? After even kind of sort of with the 6 thunders, right? All of these places, you have that. Remember what I told you guys last week. You have and I found out, cool, interesting thing that I found out this week is that me and the guy who I predominantly listen to, I'm not the only person, and he's not the only person. There's lots of biblical scholars who agree it is chronological, but there are parenthetical, obvious, like boom, it's flowing this way, and then this parentheses is talking about something over here. And then it's flowing this way, and then this parentheses is talking about something you ain't even read yet. You haven't even got to, okay? And it's a little easier than most of you in this room probably think it is. It truly is easier, just at least at a minimum. I'm not trying to say it's easier to interpret everything that he saw. I'm just saying it's easier to follow than you would imagine. So don't be so scared as you're reading. You can literally see like, oh, that sealing of the 144,000 probably doesn't happen necessarily right at the sixth trumpet. It's just he took a pause before the seventh trumpet to talk about this 144,000 that probably got sealed way back here. Or we don't even know. We're not even sure, but it might have happened back here type deal. What does the sealing of the 144,000 mean? Listen, I've told you guys 100 times. I don't know. Right? It's 144,000. There's 12,000 different people. Like, ugh. I'm not entirely sure. Now, here's a place where I'm becoming more and more sure about the 6 trumpets. Okay? And here's why this is going to be really easy, and I want you guys to go do some homework. These 6 trumpets in chapter 8 and they go into chapter 9, I personally believe, not only do I believe, but I got close to a feeling like, yep, this is obvious. And the person who I've learned from for many years does so also because he had a short 4-stint year period time in the Marines. And once a Marine, you're always a Marine. And I did 20 years in the Navy. The descriptions of what is happening here in these trumpets is pretty much all of it is pretty much fits perfect if you were to see what we all know the movies tell us and everything else tells us what would happen in a nuclear war. Every last bit of it, every part of the description, and later on, the abyss monsters, which I'm about to show you here in just a second, are not actually locusts, okay? They're all of these things like the sky rolling up like a scroll. It looks like a horse prepared for battle, right? All of these statements, if you're just careful and you read them, it goes back to what I said last week. Everybody remember what I said last week? You've got to remember John's context. He's never heard of a nuclear bomb. He doesn't know what a plume cloud looks like. How many of you guys have seen 1,000 of these? Movies, pictures, Nolan, right? Okay, you've seen 100 of them. What would this look like to him? Oh, the sky's rolling up like a scroll. I don't get it. Okay? What would a big giant abyss or hole with fire coming out of it be? The holes that are made from a nuclear bomb. What would brimstone, fire, and smoke and blood falling from the sky be? For all of you that don't know, and this is why I'm trying to say the military experience helps, and if you know and you go and research and study exactly what happens in an atomic explosion, everything around the mountains and everything else becomes burning hot rock that falls and kills you if you weren't already burned and incinerated completely from the inside out like the book of Zechariah talks about.
And black rain.
And black rain, that's right, absolutely. Now, also, right now, Russia's first number one strategic response to a nuclear attack is to take out every single port city across the world. 1/3 of the ships, 1/3 of the fish. If you were to have the kind of nuclear fallout and the kind of thing that I believe is truly being described right here, you would definitely kill 1/3 of the trees, 1/3 of the grass, right? Like there would be a lot of things going down and going on during these 8 chapters. Here's my recommendation. I already went one too far. Here's my recommendation. Couple of things. First, I want everybody to do some homework. And here's the homework. 2 Thessalonians, read it. And Matthew chapter 24, read it. Okay? Read it, reread it, look at it again, look at it again. And here's what I want you to get from it. Here's what I want everyone to get from this. I'll give you the example, the best example. 2 Thessalonians, Paul's telling the Thessalonians, the first time that I came to you, I talked to you about And then he describes literally the end times and says, you guys know all this stuff. I don't need to write about what's wrong.
I'm sorry, 2 Thessalonians and what else?
Matthew chapter 24. I don't need to write to you about these detailed, difficult things, right? Because I've already told you about them. That's Paul. We're not talking about John. Read what he says in Thessalonians, and he's very particular about, like, 2 Thessalonians, just 2 Thessalonians as a whole. Matthew chapter 24 specifically. What's Matthew chapter 24? Anybody know? That's when Yeshua starts talking about the end times. Listen, if Yeshua goes and describes in such a detail that he did, Paul describes it here in 2 Thessalonians. Will somebody please let Lorenzo outside? He's not going to stop whining until you don't. Miss Nancy, don't let one of my children, because they need to go outside with him and everything. Thank you, Miss Nancy. Appreciate it. Oh, and see, Shakira wants in part 2. Look, even the dogs are part of our Bible study. All right, I don't really mind that. Just, they messed me up and they distracted me, and I'm on a roll here, okay? So, if Paul is saying that this is an elementary thing, and when you read 2 Thessalonians and you see some of the difficult things he's talking about, and he's treating it like, yeah, remember that 3 weeks when you first got saved and baptized and I came to you, and in 3 weeks I told you about these end times things? I was convicted. I'm still convicted, right? Because I started reading it last week and I finished reading it this week, and I'm going to reread it again this coming week, okay? Because I'm like, yeah, he really did call us out. Like Paul called us out. And Yeshua goes into great detail of describing, now granted, guys, I'm not trying to say, I will admit, first of all, I don't have the details, okay? And I'm going to be very, very careful about the picture that I have laid out before me. I'm not going to try to be like I'm not going to automatically assume if some kind of nuclear bombs go off in the world that's it, boom, we're in chapter 8, and 9, 10, and 11. Okay, I just know that the description of what's happening here with the trumpets is that, Matt, I need the chronological gospels real quick.
I would throw it, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's fine, just in my hand like a basket. Oh, Mike, thank you. All right, now, here's something that I've been hesitant to recommend up to this point just because I hadn't reread it myself, but I'm now 100% cool with it. I believe that probably the best explanation of some of these difficult passages, including the ones we're talking about this week, 8 through 11, right? I believe it's okay for me to recommend to all of you to order. You can get it on Kindle. You can order it from their website, The Mystery of Iniquity by Michael Rood. Mystery of Iniquity by Michael Rood, right? I promise you, when you read it, it's not like your typical, even though he's arrogant, man, I just hope he'd be watching right now. Even though he's arrogant and he thinks he knows a whole lot, I believe, one, he knows a whole lot and he's got a good picture of this. And it definitely from the military aspect of these couple of chapters, all right? The reason why I got this was because I want to quickly just kind of go through the trumpets, right? So first things first. We're going to do a practice thing, even though I don't have the time to spare. Don't anybody move or say anything until I say so. Go. All right. I was definitely killing him. I was definitely killing him. Right? And I did that. I knew you were going to be my best subject, Nolan. And you failed because you were doing this. And you were like, even I could hear when you were even trying to mouth stuff, I could hear it. All right, look at that craziness, right? That was a minute, maybe less. Okay? Everybody follow me? What does chapter 8, verse 1 say? So remember, we got now, I'm not going to go back because I don't have the time, but eventually, when we catch up and maybe even do some extra stuff, we're going to kind of go back a little bit and talk about some things we sort of breezed over. But remember, like I said, after the sixth seal was broken, right? And so we got these horsemen riding around doing stuff, right? And now we got the seventh seal that's about to be broken, okay? And when he stripped the seventh seal, we had the break where he sees the 144,000, he sees the temple, he sees the people under the throne of God in chapter 7, okay? Now, boom, we come to the stripping of the seventh seal. There was silence in heaven. This is chapter 8, verse 1. About the space of half an hour. We're in heaven. We're in the throne room where praise and worship is going on all the time. People's voices are like trumpets, right? You got the energy in the room alone makes noise, much less the beings, the created beings. And for half an hour, complete silence. Okay. We just did a minute. Can you imagine and can you imagine John, right, seeing this, right? And he's like, he knows better than to speak, but the power that would have over him at this point, already seeing what he's already seen, and it's completely silent. Okay, and then he sees the seven angels who are standing before Yehovah, and they were given seven trumpets. So there's a declaration piece about what's about to happen, right? There's a declaration piece of what is going on, right? A lot of people see this as the trumpet's blown, that's God doing something. So listen to the first trumpet. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. Now, if we go back to before that parenthetical place where we're sealing the 144,000, we've got all these seals taking place that are a bunch of political, you can see it obvious, it's political, something bad happening. You got some famine, you got some war, you got some death, and they're writing, okay? Now, you got your last seal being broken of the title deed, so you can open it up. And this, I believe, are the trumpets pointing in the direction of the results to the earth for this being allowed to happen, for it happening, right? But again, remember what I said about them being like, oh, let the rocks just cover us from the vengeance of Yehovah. If you read everything about the horsemen and everything that goes on, and then you think about where you're at right now today, you could easily go, God's not doing this, you're doing this. Like, you people are responsible for the famine, for the plagues. Come on, guys. Where are we at right now? Right? For the war, right? Like, all the imagery that John is seeing is just seeing, and I personally believe what Yeshua said specifically to him, these are the things that are to come. So it's not yet have we gotten to the place where it's Yehovah doing it. Now, I say that. Remember what I said about how important the throne room is, and I compared that to the temple and everything else? Look at what it says here in chapter 8 also. Another angel comes in, and he takes some of the fire from off the golden altar, the one in heaven. There's a reason why Yehovah did everything he did. When we're looking at our past, we're seeing a picture of our future. Just think about it like that. Don't blow past these passages in the next couple weeks of how to build a tabernacle and what the pieces look like. Don't just not ever focus on that and think about it. It's obviously important. So from this golden censer, right, you get this angel who's got the prayers of the saints that have ascended up. That's what it represents. The incense is what's been burned on this altar. And he takes it and he gets a bunch of coals and he throws it down onto the earth. Not very dignified, is it? Not very, Catholicism. Or even, to be honest with you, temple service style. Biblical temple service style. Very undignified. He takes some of these coals and he just throws it down to the earth. And that's what John sees. Again, fire from the altar, cast into the earth. There were loud voices and thunder and lightning and a great shaking on the earth. I'm not acting like I know and understand everything that just happened. I do not believe that that incense is what is about to fall on the earth, but I believe it has some significance to check this out, right? And it's at least at a minimum to show John like what's happening, okay? Because John, like Zechariah, seeing a flying scroll with an evil woman in a basket. I've told you guys already, it's an evil fire, right? Literally, the word woman and fire are the same words, okay? And he sees it flying. It's the perfect exact measurements. I would say perfect. Too close, right, to ignore measurements of our today ICBM missiles. And he sees it going from the land of Shinar and landing in Israel. Dude, like, that's a thing, okay? Now, sky rolling up, we saw that in the chapter 5, and we saw that with the seals, the sky rolling up like a scroll. So then after that happens, if you look at this first angel, you got the hail, the fire mingled with blood, the blood always representing life. If you know anything and you go and study, like do it today, do it tomorrow, go and study about what happens in a nuclear blast or a bunch of nuclear blasts. It's not just about the radiation fallout. Everything that gets blown up gets sent down to earth as a shrapnel that is burning hail, fire hail, and it definitely has life in it because everything within a certain amount of mileage, like a tornado sucks things up. The difference here is that all that life, like blood is in the life, right, that got just sucked up into that cloud is now coming back down on the earth. So little do you realize when you're getting pelted by rocks, you're getting pelted by human DNA all day long for wherever those missiles blew up, the blood, okay? Then the second angel sounded, and it was like a great mountain on fire being cast into the sea. Again, Russia's plan is to literally blow up all of the ports and cities that are close to ports, and a third part of the living sea creatures died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. If Russia does what they're going to do, we're good at getting off with the third, right? That's one thing. The third angel sounded, and there fell great star from heaven, fell a great star from heaven, burning like a torch. It polluted the third part of the rivers and the springs, and the name of the star was called Wormwood. It's poison, it's radiation, it's the fallout. Any bit of these pieces of radiated rock and material land into our rivers and everything else. Everybody knows it. Hollywood knows it. We all know it. It will poison our water supply. Okay, so there you got that. Then the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So the third part was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part, nor night. Again, there's books written, hundreds of them. If we had even just a couple of blasts across the planet, you wouldn't be able to see the sun, moon, and stars, or at least not most of them. We would have basically a cloud going into the sky. Listen, I'm not reading specific. I'm reading right here, and I'm not giving you all the details. But man, if you read all the details, and Michael Rood does a very good job of doing this in his book. If you read all the details about this particular moment in this instance, you're gonna see like, wow, that's pretty crazy. That looks like what that might at least at a minimum happen. All right, so then you got the three woes that are announced. After you have the fourth trumpet, you have the fifth trumpet, right? And you saw a star fall from heaven. Again, a star, like a missile. Star looks like a missile, an ICBM falling to the earth, especially when everything's been darkened, will look like a fallen star to a guy named John, right? So the messenger from the abyss was given a key, and he opened the abyss. There arose a smoke out of the pit like the smoke of an enormous furnace, and the sun and the sky were darkened because of the smoke. Out of the smoke of the pit, flying locusts came down upon the earth, and they had power to inflict pain, much like a scorpion. They were commanded not to harm the grass, nor anything green, nor any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of Jehovah on their foreheads. They were ordered not to kill, but only to inflict pain for 5 months. Their torment was like the pain inflicted when a scorpion strikes a man. In those days, men will seek death, but shall not find it. They will desire to die, but death will flee from them. So the reason why death's going to flee from anybody is because most everybody that's still alive is probably going to have cancer. Yep, this is the Great Tribulation. If anybody wants to know, you're going to be walking around looking like a funny person, unless, like the writer says, you're the sealed. Remember what I said? I don't know a whole lot about who the sealed are. Do I think every believer's sealed? I don't think so, right? I don't know. I'm not 100%. I don't know all the details. I'm just giving you a general picture, right? Now, the appearance of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle. It looked as if they had crowns on their heads, similar to crowns of gold. Their faces looked like the faces of men. Pay attention. They had hair similar to hair of women, and their teeth were like of a lion's. They had breastplates that looked like iron, and sound of their wings. Their sound of their wings was like 1,000 horse-drawn chariots, or 1,000 chariots, like the sound of hooves. All right. They had tails like scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. They were given the authority to harm men for 5 months. This talks about the destroyer being revealed, right? Again, there's a king over all of them, over all these beasts. There's a world ruler making this happen, okay? This is one of the woes. We got one of the woes passed. Then we get the sixth trumpet. Remember what I talked about with the trumpets, right? And now in the sixth trumpet, you get this interesting place where you got these lions. I saw horses in the vision, and those who sat on them had breastplate, or horses that have similarities of lions. Breastplates of 3 colors, fire and jacinth and brimstone. The heads of the horses looked like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and the brimstone. By these 3 elements were the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which belched out of the mouths. Their power is in their mouths, out of their tails. Listen to everything I'm saying. For their tails that do damage look like serpents with smoking heads. Again, how this all plays out, I don't know. But the description of the specifics, I know a whole lot about. And here's why. Okay, so here's what John knows of a horse arrayed for battle. All right? Here's what I know of flying locusts whose wings sound like 1,000 horses, all right, whose teeth are like a lion's teeth, whose faces are like a man's, okay, and who have the ability to sting you, multiple guns on the back particularly, right, guns on the front, missiles, all kinds of trouble, coming out of abyss by the world leader to attack who? Right? That's the question you have to ask. Now, I don't think this passage, is talking about the Ezekiel war. I don't think this is the gathering array of people coming together to attack and to fight at the Battle of Armageddon. I said I don't think. I don't know. Right? But what I do believe, that these instruments of war, a battled horse arrayed with a head like a lion, that out of its mouth comes brimstone, that it has a tail that can basically sting men, right? The description of what John is seeing, I believe, I'm not going to be mad at you if you disagree with me. I believe very strongly, I'm at like 99.754%, he is describing an image and picture of a war that is nuclear, that is vast, like all around the world, and he's seeing the repercussions of the end of it continuing to go on. Now, I haven't put a whole lot of thought right now recently. I've just kind of come to this place where I'm like, yep, I believe this for a long time now, and now I'm really strongly kind of, this is what he's describing here. Okay? It's modern day warfare and the results of it. I have not taken the time yet, and I will, to put that with timeline type concerns and issues. I don't know, because here, what's the next thing we're about to talk about? I'm not going to talk about it today, but because we're out of time, I've hit my hard limit. But the next parentheses after that sixth trumpet with these lions coming out and the helicopters coming out and all of these ornaments of war being able to kill a third of the people, it's no different if you read the war horse, right, and the man sitting on the horse that came to declare war or death. How many people were to be taken out? It's just a different picture of vision to John for the same things happening. World war, killing a bunch of people, using modern day warfare equipment that he don't know how to describe any other way, but as locusts, looks kind of like a horse arrayed for battle. It's got a big old giant head like a lion. It's got this huge mouth that stuff comes out of. It's got a tail that stings and makes people miserable. He don't know how to describe why all these people would want death, because they're all burnt up from nuclear fallout. He doesn't understand the things he's seeing because of the time frame he's come into. But I personally am telling you right now, I believe he did an actually really good job of describing them. Because then I looked at this, I had somebody else go, hey, look, hey, see these things? Look at it. Look at what he's describing. That's an Apache helicopter. That's a tank, right? I know Putin already has it planned out that he's gonna, I knew this in the Navy very well. Very well. I was never going to come home, if we had a nuclear war, to a family sitting at home. Never going to happen. Because everywhere there was a port where there were submarines, it was going to be blown up, even if they didn't have nuclear warheads. Right? Like, I knew that in the military, right? Anyways, Nolan, hurry.
They now have remote control tanks.
They do. They're pretty crazy, pretty awesome. Right? I believe John was seeing man tanks. That's the reason why I think we're probably going to be happening soon. Because he said he saw man tanks. Right? But again, he didn't know what he was looking at. Right? He didn't understand these things, but we do. That's actually the scariest part about it. Right? If we do, how much more in the future will this get pushed? This war, whatever it is. The war that's like way, way more, I believe, deadly and complicated than any war we've had so far. Okay? Now, the next thing we get is the two witnesses. And I believe it's a parenthetical statement. So I can't tell you when I say next that means chronologically. Okay? I believe that it's very possible that the war that is getting raged that we see with these seals and these trumpets and this description and this warning, right, this blast of it, is us. And I don't mean just us, but I mean at some point, some of this devastation is not country after country, but it eventually turns around to anybody and against anyone, right? Being searched down, sought out, wherever we go to hide, whatever we do. Yep. What's that movie with Patrick Swayze? When North Korea takes over, Russia takes over. Red Dawn, right? Whatever Red Dawn situation or circumstance that we're in, right? They're coming for us because we don't have the mark of the beast and because we don't bow down, and we're looking to endure to the end. And that's the most important part about anything I think I know about what these passages are saying. Right, I've said that from the get-go, the enduring to the end piece. These witnesses, though, boy, I'm going to tell you, they got me wrapped around the axle, to say the least. I do recognize, so just go a little bit further, at the end of chapter 11, past the witnesses, you see the seventh trumpet gets blown, and that seventh trumpet is to declare the rule and the reign and the first resurrection, and like, we're there, we're in heaven. That's what the last trump is about, okay? And that is going to be awesome, and man, I can't wait. I can only imagine what it's going to look like. Okay? This story of the witnesses, though, it's really hard for me when people allegorize this so much. Like people say it's two of the churches, the seven churches, because there's too many specifics. And I get, even time specifics would be something else. But we're talking about two dead bodies specifically laying in the visible, like, can see streets of Jerusalem, and then they get called to come up, right? I don't know. But at the same time, there's another part of me that goes, and this is something you guys should all think about. There's another part of me that's like, man, it can't be that easy, right? Like, yeah, all of hell, all of earth, all of Christendom, Catholics, Protestants, Messianics, we all get the whole, like, even what I just said, even if you don't agree with me on these description of these things and you think they could, there's just not specific enough, they could be something different, fine, that's okay, right? But we all recognize the potential for what I just described, regardless if you think it matches with the book of Revelation, right? So the wars and the fighting and the killing and the deaths of all the people because of that, right? That's not anything that anybody doesn't, like, imagine. And like I said, there's 1,000 movies and books about it because everybody of every type or stripe imagines that kind of thing being a possibility, right? But the two witnesses, and not only that, but the two witnesses, and then we having such a very specific, remember what Yeshua had to do? Yeshua had to, like, hide his messiahship. He literally, like, was like, don't tell him. It's not my time yet. Don't reveal that just yet. Holy Spirit told you, Peter, but keep your mouth shut. Hey, you, shh, don't say nothing. And at certain times, he was like, fine. The Samaritan lady went in. He's like, yeah, got something. I got to go. These Samaritans, they're just too difficult to deal with. I gotta talk to them now. So I'm going to tell them now, yes, I am the Messiah. Here I am. Right? Sorry, that's just my joke. Okay, my side note joke. All right? And I don't hate Samaritans at all, right? Like, you know, I bet they're really cool people. From what I understand, they're really nice folks. They still live in Israel, by the way, if you didn't know that, and hang out at Mount Gerizim and everything. And you can go visit them. I think Bill, have you been to Mount Gerizim? Have you been to Mount Gerizim? Yes. Yeah. Mount Gerizim. That's where the Samaritans hang out to this day, Nolan.
Oh.
All right. Anyways, so my point.
Well, if it was one of the 7 churches, they asked God to be killed in
Look,
Israel,
y'all
and they're not
see
in
it?
Israel.
Look what Olivia's doing.
No, you
Look what she's doing. Just like we talked about last week. She hasn't said anything all service. And I am like 15 minutes over my dead stop time.
I don't know stuff, but I'm just saying that I think it'd be weird if it was one of the 7 churches just because their dead bodies had to lay where
Yeah.
Yeshua was crucified. And
Yeah.
they're in Turkey, most of the, a lot.
The churches. Yeah.
So they're not in.
Yeah. Now, but the idea and the concept that the person some of the people who believe that or say that, right, is that it's either already happened in a way, like, yeah, and yeah, preterism or whatever, like all these. Listen, I'm the reason why I can't get down with that kind of stuff, and is like what I'm saying right now. There's too many very like specific descriptions, right? There's specific descriptions of specific things, killing people. Like being a result of, it's like John seeing an event or events take place, right? So to allegorize everything, I'm like, no, I don't think so. But the 2 witnesses I have a hard time with, even though it's very specific that they're going to be 2 people, right? 2 bodies laying in the street, going to raise from the dead 3.5 days after they're shot, and everybody sees it. And a lot of people, especially the 7,000 remains, weird. 7,000 remaining in Jerusalem after the earthquake and all the wars and everything else kills everybody. 7,000 remaining Jews or whoever is living in Jerusalem. It's probably Palestinians too, by the way, right? That are living there and see this, all start worshiping Yehovah and give their life over to it. When they see the 2 witnesses raised up into the sky, right? And by the way, that whole come up here thing is a practice. It's a thing specifically. Go look at it for yourself on the Temple Institute website, right? It's exactly how the priest the rehearsal or their ceremony for the new moon. It's like when they see the sliver of the new moon, they would literally have the 2 witnesses. It had to be 2 witnesses. They would look at the 2 witnesses and be like, "Come up here," and they had to come up to the top of the temple and to give their witness and the report of what they saw. All right. So regardless of that, my problem is it seems too obvious. Chapter 11 about the 2 witnesses, and it's like I can't imagine the devil. Sorry, there I slip into my charismatic Pentecostal preacher self. I can't imagine the devil not knowing that this is what Revelation chapter 11 says, and not trying to like change it somehow. I don't know. That's the stumbling block I personally have about how I already. Like, I believe this, and then I trip over a rock, and I'm like, I still believe it. Stupid rock. You know, but that's where I'm at with the book of Revelation and chapter 11. All right, to be continued next week. Sorry, I tried. But we had fun, right? Yeah, Stephanie? I don't. No, I'm not asking you, Jake. I'm asking your wife. Did you have fun? I don't trust that, Jake.
You know we don't have a problem with our time. You need to do what you need to do. We're here for it.
No, I know, but I'm just worried about Stephanie's look regardless. She's got some questions. All right. Let's so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do our closeout and tell everybody goodbye, and then we're going to take prayer requests. And then for anybody that wants to receive prayer, you can come up here and pray with me and Derek, and we'll pray about guidance and listening. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, do you have Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 29? Read it really loud. Thank you. 5, verse 29.
Oh, and that they would always have hearts like this, that they might fear me and obey all my commands. If they did, they and their descendants would prosper forever.
That is Yehovah himself. He said they were right for understanding and fearing me, and that they would die if they would continue to hear me. They said a right thing in what they said. And if they could just keep that attitude always, and they could fear and reverence me in that way and not disobey me, it'd go really well with them forever. Powerful. Very powerful. Right? Always got to bring it around. Remember, your homework, throne room. That's the 2 Thessalonians, Matthew chapter 24. Okay? All right, ready? Let's go. Yevarekeka Yehovah v'yishmereka Yair Yehovah panavaleka v'kuneka Yesa Yehovah panavaleka v'yasem leka Shalom. May Yehovah bless you and keep you. May Yehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the name of the Prince of all peace, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. And Baruch haba b'Shem Adonai. Even so, come quickly, Yeshua HaMashiach. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.